Welcome to this Matrix Basic Training. During this training, you will learn how to do the most basic and fundamental things that most people will need to know how to do. Things like searching for listings, emailing and printing listings, saving searches and auto emails, and using the Market Watch and Hot Sheets. So, let's get started. First, the website address is wesc.mlxmatrix.com. You can use any browser, computer, Mac, tablet, or even your cell phone. Simply open up your browser, such as Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Internet Explorer, or Edge. And then enter your user ID and password. It's the same user ID and password that you used with the old system. Now, when you're logging in on a cell phone, the login screen might look a little different like this. This smaller screen is meant for a mobile device and it makes it easier to see. But even on a smaller device such as your phone, down here at the bottom you can still use the full site of Matrix. By clicking the full site link at the bottom, it will switch and take you to the full version right here on your cell phone. It will be a little tougher to see, move up and down and move around, but you can still do everything that Matrix needs to. And if you need to go back to the mobile version, there is a tab at the top called Mobile that will just take you right back to the mobile version of Matrix. Even though you can use Matrix and Matrix Mobile on your cell phone, there will be an app coming out soon called Property Locator. With this app, you will then have two options for your mobile device: the app, Property Locator, or Matrix Mobile. Let's talk about the rest of Matrix tabs that are here at the top of Matrix. There are a lot of tabs at the top of Matrix, some that you'll use all the time, such as the big three tabs. Others you'll hardly ever use at all, and some you might just play around with. So, starting on the top right, you'll have a Geo Warehouse tab. That takes you to your Geo Warehouse website to where you can search for property information. There's also going to be a Web Forms tab here that you don't see currently on my screen. There's the Mobile tab that I've already introduced you to. The Mobile tab just simply takes you from this full version of Matrix to the mobile-friendly version of Matrix. The Help tab I strongly encourage you to use. Under the Help tab, we have training guides and videos and tutorials and answers to most of your questions that you have within Matrix. So definitely take advantage of the Help tab. You don't have the Admin tab, so I'll just skip over that one. Links. Links will take you to a site that has a lot of Canadian real estate website links to. So take a look at that when you get a chance and see what you think of that. Market Reports tab. Under here you can do some advanced statistical type data. You might want to check out one of the help videos on that to give you more information, but that's not something that the average realtor will use within Matrix, but it is a pretty powerful tool here. Input is where your listings are added, whether you add listings or you can only go in and modify listings, such as add your photos, add attachments to your listings, or map your property. But input is where all the activity on your listings are done, adding listings or modifying listings. So we'll talk about that briefly at the end of this video here, the Input tab. Finance is some calculators you can use to play with. And in Stats, once again, just like Market Reports, you can go in and do all kinds of statistical type features. But let's talk about the big three tabs, the main three tabs that you will use almost 90, 95, 99% of the time within Matrix. The first of the three is this Home tab here. Home is where you land at, and I'll explain this home page here to you in a moment. The second of the three main tabs is Search. Search is where you go and do things. You're going to do searches. You're going to find listings and email them, print them, save the searches, save them as an auto email. It's where you're going to go and most of the time and do your items here. Things you can search for are all your property types, from residential, condos to farm, all the way down to business. Cross property is simply all those property types rolled into one. So if you wanted to do one search for residential and condos in one search instead of two separate ones, you would simply come to cross property and do that search there and just choose the property types that you like. You can also search for agent member records, so find someone's phone number or email address that you need to get in touch with. Or you can do an office search, find that real estate company phone number or address to get in touch with them. But that's the second tab, is search. The third tab is My Matrix. My Matrix is where you go to find everything that you did. So this is where you find your contacts or your clients. It's where you find your auto emails and save searches. Find all your listings, whether they're active, pending, or sold. It's where you go and set up and check your information tab, which we will do here in a moment. Very important, probably one of the first things you should do if you haven't done it already. It's where you find your CMAs, all the emails you sent out of Matrix. You find them under sent emails. In Matrix, you can email not just your contacts, but you can email listings to anyone with an email address. They don't have to be a contact in your contact list. So you can just email to simply anyone. And whoever or whatever is sent via an email out of Matrix, they're all found under sent email. And then last but not least is settings. There's a couple spots within settings I think are very important to know, and I'll talk about that later in this training. So the main three tabs: Home, Search, My Matrix. If you just focus on those three tabs there, your experience within Matrix will be really powerful out there, because that's where most of everything is done, is under those three tabs there. Okay, so now onto the home page. Here on the home page, one of the first things I want to show you is that you can move these little widgets around. You should be having every widget that I have, but mine might just be located in a different area than yours. So just move it around and put them in a location that feels comfortable for you. You'll notice that the only one you cannot really move is this one called News and Alerts. That one's stuck up here. And this is where you can pull up some news alerts. So when you log into Matrix, sometimes you'll see these little pop-up messages here. This is your MLS's way of communicating tips or tricks or things that are happening that people need to know. So please take advantage and read these messages, and usually check out and see if there's any links to a video that you can watch out there also. But that's the only one you cannot move here. Now, you do not have this one called a concierge. The concierge widget is only there when you need it or have something set up. So just briefly, let me explain what this is. The concierge mode is where you set up an auto email. An auto email is that auto prospecting search. So for example, I have a client here named Claire. I saved a search for Claire and I put it into an auto prospecting mode, or what we call in Matrix auto emails. So that auto email runs for Claire and finds new matches. And in an auto email, you'll normally have three options. You'll be able to say, when you find new matches, send it to Claire, or you'll be able to say, send it to Claire and copy me. But the third option is the concierge mode. That's where it says, send it to Claire, or send it to me first before you send it to Claire. So in this case, you can see that the system found 11 matches and they need my approval for Claire. Before Claire can see them, I need to go and look at them and approve the ones I want her to see. So in here, now I see those 11 listings, and now I can come in here and check off the one or two that I think she'll like, and then down here at the bottom, I can approve them. Once I approve them, now I'm down with 9 listings, and you can see that those 2 listings are now on Claire's portal for her to see. If there's something that I don't think she'll like, then I can just simply check those listings and come down here and reject them. And when I reject them, you'll notice that we keep count of all the ones you've rejected here. So that way, if she ever changes her mind, I can always come back and see the ones I didn't send her. But now that she's changed her mind, she might like these listings, and I can go back and look at them again. So it's a really handy feature, but it does require some little extra work on my behalf because I have to look at them first before she does. But what this gives you, the realtor, the opportunity to do is kind of weed them out. So you can keep your search really short and simple without too much criteria, and then that way you can look at them and kind of decide which ones you think you'll like out there or not like. Most cases on the auto emails, I think what most realtors will do is just go ahead and send the new matches to the client, let them look at them, let them save them and reject them. But the concierge mode gives that one extra level of one extra layer where you as the realtor can see them first before they go out. But there'll be, I'll show you that again on when I show you how to save auto emails. But that's under the concierge mode, and like I said, you don't have this one when you first log in. It's just there afterwards once you save a search and put it in the auto email mode. The next tab here, or widgets, is that I'd like to talk about is called Recent Portal Visitors. Everyone will already have this tab widget that's called Recent Portal Visitors. You may not have anything in here because you may not have clients that have been visiting their portal yet. But as I email listings to these clients here, I can see who has been logged in and when did they log in, and then if they saved any listings or left me any notes here. So this is a neat little feature here where I can go in and just kind of monitor who's doing what on their portal. And this little person over here is just a way that I could click on, and it would actually take me to that client's portal, and I can see what their portal looks like. Just like that there. Okay, it shows me Jerry's portal and what it looks like. I can go and look at his find a home page of all the listings I've sent him. I can look at his saved searches, his favorites, his messages, and things like that. So that little guy over here tells you there. Now there's actually 3 ways you can see where clients are doing things. This is the first place. Right here on your home page, you can keep tabs on who's been visiting their portal. But you can also find it under the My Matrix tab, and you can click on Contacts. This opens up and shows you all your contacts. And then over here on the far right hand side, you can see all your contacts if and when they visited their portal last. And over here, if there's any notes that you saved for them, or if they saved any notes, if they saved any favorites or possibilities, and how many listings they've rejected here. So that's your second way, and that's under your contact page. But the third way you can keep in touch with your recent portal visitors or seeing what's going on is by setting up a portal notification settings. So when one of my clients goes in and saves listings or leave me a note, I could get an email ASAP or once a day, or a text message ASAP of when my clients left me messages here. I think this is a terrific feature, and honestly I believe everyone should set this up. Maybe at different levels of notification, but I think everyone should set up at least a daily summary of what's happening on your portal. So to set that up, let me show you really quick where you go to set up your notifications. It's found under the My Matrix tab. Under the My Matrix tab, you're going to go down and click on Settings. Under Settings, you'll see you'll have a lot of options here. But you'll just scroll down near the bottom and you're going to use this option called Portal Notification Settings. Under the Portal Notification Settings, you'll see that you've got several options here. You'll notice that when a contact does this, visits the portal, saves a favorite, removes a favorite, and so forth down here. You'll have 3 categories. Notify you ASAP via an email, notify you ASAP via a text message, or notify you via a daily summary. You can actually pick all 3 of those when that happens. So what I would recommend, I would be careful on the ASAP options because you could get overloaded with either emails or text messages here. But on the daily summary, I would encourage everyone to check mark all these boxes here. So that way, if anything happens with your clients on their portal, whether they just visited the site, saved a favorite, left you notes, or so forth, having everything check marked here will give you a daily summary, just one email a day. So it doesn't matter how many clients you have, and going to your their portal and saving things, you'll only get just one email every day, and it just gives you a summary of what happened on that day. Now the next options here might be a little bit advanced here, or too much, but I'd be careful on this. I would set up some of them, but on the ASAPs, I don't think I would need to know every time someone visits the portal to have an email or text sent to me ASAP. That could be a lot of visits there within one day. Save a favorite, maybe possible. That's up to you. You might want to try it at first, and if your clients are saving a lot of things as favorites or as possibilities, then you could always come back in here and take that off. You'll notice you'll still get the daily summaries here, but that's just ASAP on a text or as an email here. The next one's down, discards a listing, probably not, but definitely this add a notes. I would definitely encourage you, you're getting it on a daily summary, but I'd definitely say on the email or text, and you can do actually all three if you like, but I would say, maybe text me that message, that notes that my client left me as soon as possible, or just an email if you don't like text messages. That's up to you. Saves a search on their portal. As you'll see here in a bit, your clients can do their own searching, and if they save that search, we can give you an email showing you that they saved a search, and you'll be notified. You'll definitely be notified on the daily summary, but I think this is still good to do whether it's ASAP text or email. I think that's nice to know about right away. And this last one, me personally, I like to use the portal the first time they visited the portal. I don't like the every visit up here, that's the top one, but just the first time, so that way as I've been sending things to a certain client and they haven't been visiting their portal yet, as soon as they do, maybe after a week or so, I'll know right away that they visited it, and I won't need to worry about it anymore. So that's just me, but that's your option. Just a suggestion for you. If you do like the text messages, though, you will have to set up your text messages notification settings here. Okay? If you're not using the text messages, then don't worry about it. If you do, then what you'll need to do, you'll notice you can't click in there yet. You'll need to hit this link right here that says click here to edit your cellular information. When you click on that, now you'll be able to go in and type in your cell phone number. Now make sure you type in your number, area code and 7-digit number, without dashes, without any spaces or periods or anything, just straight 10-digit numbers. You also need to give us or tell us who your cellular provider is. So you'll come in here and choose your provider that you have. Just an FYI, something I've been noticing, most of these providers, such as Verizon, who I use, if you pick them and then you'll hit the send me a verification code, you normally get a text within a minute or so, and you'll get a 4-digit code, which you'll need to enter. I'll come back to that here in a second. But if you're using Rogers, there's actually 2 Rogers in here. You might want to try the Rogers New. And if you try the Rogers New, and after you hit the send a verification code, it will send you a text message. But what I've been seeing with Rogers users is that they first get a text message that says something about that they're not subscribed to receive messages. Do you want to? And I think you'd have to reply with yes, Y-E-S, reply. And then after you reply with that, they'll send you another text saying that you have a message that you need to read. And if you'll have to reply with read, R-E-A-D. And when you reply with that, then they'll send you a 4-digit code. And that's when you'll type in that 4-digit code. So with Rogers, and that's why I'm mentioning this with them, it is does seem like there's one or two extra loops you have to jump through in order to get that code. But with the other providers, normally it just sends you a code right away. Okay, and once you type in that 4-digit code, just hit save my cellular. I'll type in something here. Save my cellular information. And once you hit save, well, I didn't hit a valid code. I just typed in something there. You would save it there and then hit the save button down here again, a second save. Okay? I'm just not going to save it. I'm just going to go back to my settings. And I'm just going to go back up here to the home page. Okay, well that was the recent portal visitors there. Next, what I like to mention is my favorite searches. If I scroll down a little bit, I have a little tab here called my favorite searches. And just a little teaser, a little bit of information about this is you can save searches. You can do searches, as many searches that you like in Matrix, and you can save them either as an auto email or as a favorite search. And as you do that, when you save it as a favorite search, you can save up to 10 of them as a favorite search. Now, why would you want to save a search as a favorite? Well, it could be like a little template. That way, as soon as I save the search, let's say I did one around a special map area, a certain subdivision. I call this one Terrific Subdivision here. And I just drew a random shape here. But I like to use that shape on my map many, many times. I don't want to have to go in and draw that shape around that subdivision every time someone wants to have me find a house for them. So when I did that search with the map, I just saved it, and there's a little option that says save as favorite search. So now whenever a client calls me up, I just need to click on that search called Terrific Subdivision, and it's going to take me to the results. And this is the most up-to-date listings for that search called Terrific Subdivision. Now I might need to go back to my criteria tab and type in my client's price range and maybe throw in bedrooms and bathrooms and things like that. But I don't have to draw that map shape again. It's already drawn one time. So if I look at my map, you'll notice that I've already drew that map shape, and I don't have to draw it again and again. I just had to type in that price range for that client there. And then in this map shape here, you can see I drew an area around, and then I also drew, and I'll draw closer in on this, that you can see I also eliminated an area. That's an area there that's eliminated. You can always move these out and customize this the way you like it. I think you'll love our map shapes in here because they're very, very flexible and easy to use, I think. So, like I said, when I used that favorite search, all I had to do is type in my client's address, but I didn't have to draw that shape again. And now when I go to results, I'll see the results based on that price range, but using that map that I already drew. And when I go down here to save it, I don't want to update my search called Terrific Subdivision, but I'll want to save it as a new auto email for that client if I like. So it's just a time saver. It saved me time so I don't have to draw that shape over and over again. So let's go back to the home page. Okay, next on the home page, I just want to introduce you or mention carts. Carts is a way for you to save listings for clients. So here I've got a cart for Steve and Rosa. I also have a cart for Alan Smith. Every contact that you have has their own carts. In fact, if I go under my matrix contacts, you're going to notice all my contacts here. And then like I showed you earlier, you can see notes, favorites, houses that they saved as possibilities and rejected. But every listing or every contact has their own carts. And it shows me how many listings I've got in that person's carts. Now, I'm the one who puts them in that carts. And I put them there because I want to keep track of them. Now, the reason why I put these 7 listings in Steve and Rosa's carts is because I want to keep track of what I show them. So every time I show them a property to Steve and Rosa, I just throw that listing into their carts. The cart is for me as the realtor to keep track of. If I want Steve and Rosa to see them or to save them or to leave messages, I would just email those listings to them. And when Steve and Rosa opens that email, they will see those listings on their carts, or I'm sorry, on their portal. The portal is for Steve and Rosa. The cart is for me. So for example here, let's say I did a search for Steve and Rosa, and in fact, let me kind of save us some time here. Let's say I went to my Market Watch, and I found a new listing here. And I found a new listing, and we'll say it's this one here at 146 Askin. If I put a check mark next to it, and if I want Steve and Rosa to see it, I would just simply check mark it, hit the email button down below, and email to Steve and Rosa. So as I type in their name in this to box, you can see there's their email. So I select it. I'm probably give it an address, new, or a subject matter, new listing for you to see, and type in a message, and then I just simply email it to them, send it to them. So now it's on their portal, and they can keep track of it, they can save it, they can reject it. But let's say they come back to me later on today and they say, Keith, that listing at 146 Askin, I like that listing. Can we go see it tonight or tomorrow, whenever? I say, sure. So I set up the showing for them. So what I could do is come in and do a search for that listing, because I'm about to go show it to them. Do a search for it. And when I find that listing, now here I want the active one, not the sold or the expired one. So I'm just going to check mark that active one. And then down here in our button bar, I'm going to go to carts. Carts down here is where I open this up, and I'll choose my client, which in this case is Steve and Rosa. Now I've already got 7 listings in their carts, which to me means that I've showed them 7 houses. So if I go show them this house today, I might want to add it to their carts. So if I add it to their cart, now they have 8 listings on their portal, or I'm sorry, on their carts. So now after the showing, I could come back and view their carts. And these are the 8 houses that I viewed on their carts. And right here at 146 Askin, you can see that I've emailed it to them today, where these other listings, I emailed it to them a couple of days ago. But now after the showing, I could hit the notepad and leave them a message such as showed on 4/11, and maybe said they didn't like it. And then I can hit this add note down here, and now I added a note for them, and they can see these notes. So I just want to make sure you know that these notes are viewable to your clients. So keep them friendly. Don't say anything you don't want them to hear. However, I will say that I've got these 3 other listings in their cart, but you can see I've never emailed it to them. So if I've never emailed it to them, that means they cannot see them on their portal, because I've never emailed it to them. So if I want them to see it, I would just simply check mark it, go back to actions, and email it to them, and then it would be on their portal. But just because I put those listings, these 8 listings in their cart, doesn't mean they can see it on their portal. This tells me if they can see it on their portal. So these top listings, they can see on their portal. These last 3, they cannot see it on their portal. So technically, I could leave a message here and they won't see it. But what if I accidentally check mark it one day and email it to them? Then they will see it on their portal. So the cart is for me, the portal is for the clients. If I want them to see it, I email it to them, and then they can save it. In fact, up here you can see if they saved any listings. And the portal is for me, and I keep track of them. And here you'll notice they're all still active listings, but if I come back in months later, I can see all these listings I've ever showed them, and it'll tell me its current status right here. And if Steve or Rosa saved any of these listings as a favorite or as a possibility or as a trash can, I would see that little icon right here for whichever one they did. And if they leave notes, if I encourage them to go back and leave notes on one of these listings, I would see their note right here too. So if they leave notes, I can see them, or if I leave notes, they can see them. But that's what the card is. The card is a really cool feature. You don't have to use, but I think it could really help you keep track of everything that you show your clients there.
Next, I want to talk about the Market Watch versus the hot sheets. Market Watch and hot sheet are both very similar to what you used to use as the daily bulletin. So first, let's talk about the Market Watch. Under the Market Watch, you see types of changes here. But then in this drop-down box, you see types of properties, such as cross-property, residential, condo, farm, multifamily, land, industrial, commercial, and business. Cross-property is simply all property types rolled into one. After that, you see the time periods, such as 24 hours, today, 3 days, and 7 days. And underneath that, you see customize. If you're going to use the Market Watch, which you'll probably will, you're going to want to customize it, because if you don't customize it, it's going to be the entire MLS, which is not just Windsor and Essex, but also Chatham and Sarnia. So first, I'm going to use the cross property type. Going into customize, I then come in and I probably just want to choose Windsor-Essex. And that's probably it. Now, since it's the cross property and it's all property types, I can come over here and choose the type of properties I want to see. If I want them all, then I just don't need to select any, because without any selected, it just assumes I want everything. But if I do just want certain ones, such as residential, condo, farm, and multifamily, then I could just choose those and save it. And here's something else. If I want them all, except for, let's say, business and industrial commercial, I could pick the two that I don't want and hit not. That just means I don't want those two, industrial commercial and business. In this case, though, I'm just going to leave it blank. I want all property types. And I want them in Windsor-Essex. So if something happens in Windsor-Essex major area, I want to know about it. So all I need to do is choose save. Now I can choose so many more fields in here, but I think that's it. I think most of us will just want to say Windsor-Essex. And that's pretty much it with the cross-property Market Watch. You'll probably want to go in and choose another property type like residential and do the same thing. Customize it. Choose major area, Windsor-Essex. Scroll down to the bottom and save it. And it's up to you if you go through and pick the other property types and do the same thing. But that's all you do with the Market Watch. Now I can see in the last 3 days how many new listings are in Windsor-Essex, how many price increases, how many price decreases, how many status changes are there. It's pretty simple and very straightforward. Now, the hot sheet is a little bit different just because it's designed a little different. What you can do with the hot sheet is that you have you have one property type for each hot sheet you can do. And if you're going to use it, just like the Market Watch, you're going to want to customize it. And over here, just like the Market Watch, you have time periods that you can choose. This one has a few extra, which is this session, which is a timestamp, which goes back to the last time you ran this session. So if you use the hot sheet a lot, if you use this session, it'll always run back to the last time that you did a hot sheet using this session. And it'll just pick up where it left off. And then if you choose custom, you can pick your date range and go from there up to 30 days back. So, for example, I'm going to show you how it differs from the Market Watch. So I'm going to customize it. And like I said, you can have multiple property types of the same property types. Like I can have 10 residential. I can have 5 residential and 5 cross properties. Just as long as there's no more than 10 is what I can do here. So for example, I'm going to pick residential, and over here on the right hand side I can move it up to the top, I can move it down, I could add it, I could rename it, and I can edit its criteria. I'm going to edit its criteria because like the hot sheet or the market watch, if I don't customize it, it's going to be the entire three boards of realtors combined. So I'm going to edit this, but the hot sheet is a little different, so let me show you something that I want to do. I'm going to pick a municipality or district, such as Windsor, LaSalle, Tecumseh, and I'm going to save this. Now that I changed it and I can have multiple residentials, I'm going to want to rename it to tell me or to remind me what it is. I'm going to shorten the name to res, and then I'm just going to say Windsor, LaSalle, and Tecumseh, and save it. Now stick with me here. I have other property types, but I want to add another residential one. And this time I'm going to save it. Here it is down here, which is everything. So I'm going to want to modify it again, just like I did that first one. So with that one highlighted, I come over here and I edit its criteria. When I click on that, this time I'm going to pick Amherstburg. And then I'm going to scroll down and save it. And now I'm going to want to rename it to remind me what it is. So I'm just going to shorten the name res, and I'm going to pick Amherstburg and save it. And since I can move it, I'm going to move it up towards my other one. Just kind of keep it in order here. And just one more, I'm going to add another residential, edit its criteria, and this time I'm going to do Essex, Municipality District 20. And I'm just using these. I mean, you could do other ones, cities, and sub-districts should be in here. That is something that should be fixed or working. So at the time that I'm doing this video, that's not there, but that should be there. So you can break it down any way you like. But I'm going to say Essex and save it. I'm going to rename it just like it did the others two. Shorten the name, make it just Essex, and save it. And move it up to my other ones. Now, I can only have 10 here, so if I don't use business, I can always delete it. And remember, I always have business on the market watch. I just may not use it on the hot sheet, or vacant land, or industrial, commercial, or farm, or multifamily. And that's it. I'll just click done. So where the hot sheet can differ from the market watch is that the market watch I can fine tune down to different areas such as Windsor, Amherstburg, and Essex, where here I can only have one residential, so it was the entire Windsor-Essex area. Here I can have multiple property types, and they could have all been cross property. But then when I pick on this and select it, I'm looking at all changes, all new, and you can sort it here too. All price changes, all new listings, everything. But I'm just looking in that one municipality district, where the hot sheet I was looking at the entire Windsor-Essex. This one is just for Windsor, LaSalle, Tecumseh. So I hope that helps a little bit with the market watch and the hot sheets. They're both very beneficial, but designed to give you changes and action that's going on in the time period that you choose, but they're just laid out a little differently. So use one, use the other, or use them both. So I hope that helps. Okay, now let's talk about the basics of doing a search. Just logging in, searching for some properties, and getting the results. Well, it all starts with the search tab. Under the search tab, you're just going to choose your property type, such as residential, condo, farm. And if you notice, there's one called cross property. Cross property is simply all property types rolled into one. Under cross property, you could actually search for residential, condo, and farms all in one search instead of 3 separate ones. But in this basic search, I just want to go in and do a search, and I'm going to use residential. Once you click on the property type that you want to search for, you will now notice that there are 3 tabs here at the top right: Criteria, Map, and Results. It all starts on the Criteria tab. On the Criteria tab, you simply just start entering your criteria that you like, choosing other stuff here that you like: price range, bedrooms, bathrooms, and so forth. As you do your search, keep your eye on the matches found down here on the bottom left. You'll notice that as you change your criteria, that automatically refreshes and shows you your current matches based on what you currently have in your search criteria. So once you fill in your search criteria, and we will go over some more tips and tricks on how to search by different options like a map search or keyword search, things like that. But after that, all you're going to do is then go to the Results tab. And this is where you see those matches to your search results. If you want to change the criteria, just go back to the Search Criteria tab. Make sure you do not use the back button in this step right there, because if you use the back button instead of this Criteria tab, you would have gotten back to the Criteria tab, but all your criteria would have been erased. So it's very important in this section right here that when you go back to criteria, just use this Criteria tab. Now you can come in and fine tune it a little bit more, and then go back to Results. If you want to, you can always click on the Map tab to see what your search listings or results to your listings are mapped at. And then go back to criteria, keep on changing the criteria that you like, keep on going back to results, seeing what they look like, and then map it if you like to see where their listings are mapped at. But once you're done with your search, you'll now notice that you have this button bar at the bottom. This is where you can email listings, print, CMA, directions, and so forth here. So simply to email them, just pick the ones you like and hit email. When you use the email button down here, that will always email those listings to the clients that you want to see. You can open up the to box and pick the client that you want to email to, and then hit the to box, and that would do it. Or you can just start typing in their name and it populates in here too, and just pick it. You can also email this to someone who's not in your contact list. So just simply type in their name or their email address here. Now, however you email this, or whoever you email this to, whether they're a contact or not a contact, when you send this to them, what they will get are those listings that you chose, and it will be on a portal view. Now, obviously, if you send this to someone who's not a contact, they will still get a portal view. They just won't be able to do everything like a normal contact of yours can do, such as save the listings as a favorite, reject them, leave you notes, and some other stuff. But they still get a little portal. It's just not as advanced as the client's portal that you have. But it's just good to know that you can still email this to anyone without first putting them into your contact list. And as you'll notice, as I'm emailing this to John, if John wasn't in my contact list, I could add him really quick right here. So that way I didn't have to leave this spot and go back, add him, and then type him in. I just have a little shortcut that create him here now. I'm just going to cancel this though. Using the email option is always the best way to do when you're emailing listings to your clients. But there is another way you can email, and that is actually under the print button. When you select the listings that you like and you hit print, obviously you can print them. Just choose your report that you like, and then before you print them, just notice that you can have your banner at the top or not have it at the top. So you can just choose the one you like, print, and your banner will be there or not on there. And it's also important to know that these options below here under the print header and footer are very, it changes. It's really based upon the browser that you're using. In this example, in this video, I am using Internet Explorer. So with Internet Explorer, I have these options here to choose to print my banner on. If I was using Chrome or Safari or Firefox or another one, I may not have these same options. So it just depends on the browser that you're currently using. But like I said, as you come into print, you can actually pick one of these reports and not only print them, but based on the MLS and the rules and regulations, you could come in and email that report, those listings that you chose in that report that you picked. And when you email it this way, it just emails those listings in that PDF report and not on the portal. So even if you could pick any of these reports in here, even the agent full view, even if you could pick it and email it, you don't want to email this to your client if it's got some confidential information such as agent remarks and listing agent's name and phone number on there. If that ever does become available, then you would only want to use that option to email yourself or email another realtor, but never email it to a customer, maybe to an appraiser or a home inspector or someone like that. But I just want to mention that other way of emailing, and it's actually under the print tab. You'll also notice that you can pick some listings here that you like and use them in a CMA. We'll cover that one later. And then there is a directions button. Once you pick the listings you like and you hit the directions button, it will put those listings in the best driving order for you. And as you scroll down, you'll see the turn by turn by turn to each of those houses. And it tells you the distance and time it takes to get from the one house to the next. And at the top here, you'll see the total distance and the total time. You can always email this or print this out. You can add a start or a stop, because you'll notice that in your list you only have those houses that you picked. It doesn't know where you're starting from. But you can always add a start or add a stop. And once you add your start and stop, you can still even customize it by moving it around and putting it in the order that you like. If you do rearrange it, just make sure you come down here and hit directions. It'll recalculate it and give you a new turn by turn. So I'm just going to go back to the back to results here. So that's the actions tab down here at the bottom. If you go to refine, what you could do is pick these listings that you like and narrow it down to just the ones you picked. Now there's 4 that I picked, not all 5. I could go right up here above where it says narrowed results and hit the original results, and it takes me right back. Or I could have used the back button in this case too to bring them back. Now if I pick 2 that I don't like, I could discard them. And if I discard them, now they're gone and I only see the ones left that I do like. But when I discard, I have an undiscard button here, which brings back to my original results. And you'll also notice that under refine, we have a view as with a contact's name. This is kind of a neat feature because I can open this up and pick one of my clients, such as Neil and Pat, and see if I've ever emailed it to them. And as you can see, I've never emailed it to any of those. If I open this up and I pick another client, it'll tell me if I have emailed it to them. And if I choose just one more, such as Teresa, click on her name, and here you can see that I did email those 2 listings to Teresa. And if Teresa had saved it as a favorite or as a possibility, you would see that right here. And over here are notes that I can either leave for Teresa or see if Teresa has left me notes. So that's just a little shortcut there that I can refine it down and choose the client to see if I've sent it to them. I'm just going to open that back up and go right back up here to clear, and it takes that back away there. After that, you got save, where here now you can save it as a save search, which is an inactive search, which doesn't auto prospect, or I could save it as a new auto email, which takes me and sets it up, and I can go through and set up all the configurations to auto email this to a client. And then down here at the bottom, I can also save it as a new speed bar shortcut. And a new speed bar shortcut is kind of a little bit more advanced, but it's a really neat feature also there. We'll cover those last two here in just a bit. And last but not least, I can choose the carts. If I pick 2 listings in this, I can add it to any of my clients' carts. All my clients have a cart. Whether I put listings in there or not is up to me. And the basics of a cart is, in the best way I can explain it, is a way for me to keep track of listings for a client. Now, you'll see down here I've got Steve and Rosa, and they've already got 8 listings in their cart. I have already put 8 listings in their cart. So if I pick 2 more listings, I can add those 2 listings to their cart, bringing their total now to 10 listings. The reason why I like to put listings in my clients' carts is because I show them properties. So every time I show them properties, I just keep adding those properties to their carts, and they will always stay there until I remove them. Now, the client cannot add listings to the cart. The client has a portal. So the cart is for me as the agent, as the realtor, and the portal is for my clients. So if I want Steve and Rosa to see any listings, I simply email it to them. And if I email it to them, it doesn't automatically put it in their cart. But if I pick listings and put it in their cart, it also doesn't automatically email it to them either. They're 2 separate things. The cart is for me, the realtor, and the portal is for the clients. And that way the client can save them themselves. So basically, if I want to keep track of it, I put it in their cart. If I want them to keep track of it, I'll email it to them. Chances are, if I show them listings and I put it in their cart, chances are I probably would have already emailed it to them too. But that's just remember, it's just 2 separate things. You don't have to use the carts. It's just an extra tool in your tool belt that you can utilize to help remember which listings you've been showing them and which listings you haven't. But that's the carts. And that is the basics of doing a search. Now, I want to show you how to save a search as an auto email. An auto email is an automatic email for your client. So if I've got a client, whether they're already in my contact list or not, and I want to save a search for them with their search criteria, I'm going to want to probably save it and have the system, have Matrix automatically email it to them as it finds new listings and new results. So the basics of doing this is really 3 steps, and the first step is optional. The first step is adding a new contact to your contact list. And like I said, it's optional, which means you don't have to do this. And you'll see this why in just a moment. So a first step is coming into your My Matrix tab and going to Contacts. Next, you're going to come down here and you're going to check and see if you've already got your client in this contact list. Here you'll notice that my client, well, you don't know who my client is, but my client is going to be Ray, a good friend of mine, Ray Henry. So I would need to come down here and click on the Add tab. And when I add, I would just simply type in Ray's name and his last name. And then obviously you got to have an email address. I also want to make sure that when you email, or add a contact here, you can do up to you can do more than just one email address. Just type in multiple email addresses separated by a comma. So I'm just going to throw in Ray's email address. I'm just going to not use his real one. I'm just going to type it in here as something.com. Okay. So as I type it in here, I'm actually also going to type in my Yahoo one. my Yahoo email address. And the reason why is so on this video I can log in next after this and show you what my client Ray Henry gets when he receives this here. And plus you can see how to enter multiple email addresses. After that, you can also choose to change the salutation, or you can actually type in your own custom salutation here. Phone numbers, I can hit show all fields down here. What this does, opens up, and now I can type in additional names, his kids' names, his pets' names, and so forth. I can come down here and add his home address, business, and type in some notes here for him. But when I'm done, I'm just going to hit save. And now my client, Ray Henry, has been added to my contact list. Just remember, you don't have to do that first. And if Ray was already in my list, I didn't have to add him here. He would already be here, so I could move on to my second step. Now, the second step is I need to do a search for Ray. I have to start with this one. Even if I skipped over the first step, I definitely have to start with doing a search. Now, how do I do a search for my client Ray? In the old system, in your old MLS system, you would always come in your contact list, and once they were added, you would click on their name and you would have an option to do a search for them. But this is not your old system, so you don't start this way. If I want to do a search for Ray, all I simply do is click on search. That's it. Just click on search and then choose his property type, in this case residential. Now you might be saying, well, how does the system know that this search is for Ray? Well, at the time, at this moment, it doesn't know it's for Ray, but I know it's for Ray. And you'll see here after I do my search how I will tell Matrix who it's for. So in this case, I'm just going to go in and type in what Ray likes for me to search for. Let's see here. We'll pick on here and we'll say Tecumseh. And then I'll put in a price range. Got 6 matches. That's pretty good. Okay, just remember you can do much more search criteria. You can narrow this down much more. So up here, I'm just going to go to the results, just like I showed you in the previous step. And there's my list of houses. Just remember, I can always go back to criteria, modify this, add some more criteria, and keep going back and forth. And I could have even used a map to draw my shape to get the results. But that's step 2, is just searching, finding the criteria with the results that your client would want. And now step 3, once you're satisfied with this search and it's producing the right results that you like, you need to save it. So you're going to come down here and hit save as new auto email. Now, it's important to know that when you hit the save button, what you are saving, you're saving the criteria that produces at this moment 6 matches, 6 listings. I am not saving those houses. I'm saving the criteria. So now that I hit save, and I hit save as new auto email, it's saving this criteria. And if Ray looks at this right now, he will see 6 houses. But if he looks at it next week, there might only be 5 or 4 or 7 or 8. I'm not sure. It's just whatever that moment in time is what he will see. So I do not need to select anything. All I need to do is say save new auto email. Once I click that, now it says who is this for? And this is why you do not need to do step 1. Because if I didn't already have Ray in my contact list, I could add him right here. I can hit create new contact and type in his name and phone number and email address. But he's already in my contact list. So all I need to do is go up here and pick my client, Ray. There's his email addresses. Now it says, do I want a blank carbon copy me on all auto emails? I could say, nope, just send it to him, that's fine. Or, yeah, I'll send it to him and copy me so I can see what he's getting at the same time. And then give it a message or a subject title here. And in here, I'll probably just go in and name it what my search was. Tecumseh listings, maybe even a price range. beds, baths, whatever you like, just to kind of identify it to him so he knows what I'm searching for. Because I could have 3, 4, 5 searches for him, and they might all be in different areas or different property types. So try to identify it right here by the name of it, so when he receives it, he'll know which search you're talking about. After that, you'll notice that we have a welcome email and a recurring email address. This welcome email is the first email he gets. This welcomes him to his portal. And down here at the bottom, at the very last sentence, it says, please click the link below to begin your portal experience. This email is very, very important. They do not get any future emails, any future recurring emails until they click on the link below this. So this is their way of opting in to getting automatic emails from you. So you could drop that line down a couple spaces. You could even change anything. Take out everything that you see here if you like and type in your own message. You might say, by clicking the link below, you are opting in to receive automatic emails from me. Okay, whatever you like, verbiage wise. Now, if I leave it like this, this is how Ray will get his welcome message from me. But if I want to save this message, not just for Ray, but for everyone from here on out in the future to get this same message, I would just use my settings wheel down here and set it as my default welcome message text. And then I don't have to type that message in over and over again. Now, once Ray clicks on this link below, he won't see this message again unless I send him another auto email. But here he will get recurring emails. Now he'll start getting this because he's already opted in, and this recurring message will just send him whenever it finds something new, and it just simply says that one or more new or updated listings match your criteria. So go check it out. You can modify this message too. I actually kind of like to say to save, reject, leave notes on listings. Just to remind him that it's his job. I mean, not that they have to, but just to remind them that he might want to save houses he likes, reject listings he doesn't like, or leave me notes too. And once again, if I leave it just like this, only Ray sees it. But if I go down to this little wheel down here, I can save it as my default, and this will be the recurring message that all my clients get from here on out. Then you'll see it has my signature here. If I didn't edit already, I could edit it right here and save it, but I'll show you how to do that too. Scroll on down. Now it says ASAP, the schedule right here, schedule. This is, if I say ASAP, he'll get it as soon as possible. As soon as they find new matches, they'll be sent to him. If I say daily, now it's only scheduled to receive once a day or twice a day based on what I have here. And then monthly also. But I want to talk about the concierge mode. This concierge mode, what that means is when I enable it, you notice that my schedule went away, because this is the way that I can get the I can get the matches first before he does. And Matrix will alert me on my home page automatically as new matches are found. And it will also email me an alert notification reminding me that there's a new match for me to go in and take a look at it. If I do this, Ray does not get it first. I get it, and I'll have to approve the ones that I want him to see, and then reject the ones I don't think he'll want to see. So that's the concierge mode. It sends it to me first, and I'll have that homepage widget on my on the homepage that alerts me, and I can go through and select them. If I don't check mark that, notice my schedule comes back, and now I can say, just send it to him ASAP. And then once I hit save, it is now saved, and it is now an auto email. Where do I go and find that auto email now that I saved it? Whether it's in concierge mode or not, I would just simply go up to my matrix and click on auto emails. I can also find it somewhere else. I can also go to my matrix contacts, and now I can click on Ray Henry's name, and you'll see that I have a auto email for him right there. But I want to show it to you under the auto email section. In the auto email section, I want to explain this real quick. The white circle means that he has not opened it. He has not accepted it. He has not clicked on that first link, which means he has not opted in yet. The green circle with the white check mark means that they have accepted it. They have clicked on it, and it has taken them to their portal, and now it's set up. And there's an important time period. Ray has 45 days to click that link, or else we'll turn it off. I'm not going to wait 45 days to see if he clicks on it. I'm going to probably call him in a few days, and if he still hasn't clicked on it, I might ask Ray, do you need me to resend it to you? Because I noticed you haven't clicked on it in the last 3 days. And by the way, you did check your spam folder, because it could have been sent there too. So if he hasn't clicked it, I could resend it to him, just like I showed you, just by clicking on that right there. Now, once he does click on it, now he gets 90 days. Now it's 90 days, and he'll get an email, and all he has to do is click on it one time, and it'll extend it for 90 more days. He clicks on it again, he gets 90 more days based on the time that he clicked it on. So it could never expire as long as Ray just keeps on clicking on it. Now, the red means it's been shut off. Well, if he doesn't go there, whether it's the 45 days or the 90 days after he clicks on it, we will shut it off due to inactivity. We'll send you a message. Actually, we'll send you a reminder that it's about to be shut off like a week or so before the time period. Just reminding you that they haven't been there and you might want to follow back up, because we will shut it off. And then on that date, we'll shut it off. Ray could always, or any of your clients can always unsubscribe. They can unsubscribe from these auto emails, and that would shut it off too. Unsubscribe would also send you an email saying that your client unsubscribed, but we'll automatically turn it off for you. And the third way is I could turn it off myself. I could come in and say, this client wants to take a timeout. They want to take a little break. I could put a check mark here, and instead of deleting it, which is a permanent deletion, I could just simply disable it. And when I disable it, it does turn it off, and it is off until I turn it back on, but it's in here. I look at the disabling as a temporary fix or temporary pause. So if my client wants to turn it back on, I just click on it, go to settings, and you'll see it's disabled by me, but I'll just scroll down here and I'll turn it back on. And then when I hit save, it just got turned back on, and that welcome message sent right back out to my clients. And now they have to click that link again to turn it back on. Now, if my client has bought a house and I permanently want to stop it, well, I could check mark it and delete it, and that would permanently stop it. I could disable it, but I want to show you how to take this auto email. I've got 8, one of them called East Windsor, but I want to move it to my saved searches. This way it'll stop, but yet I'm not actually getting rid of this search. I can always save it. Maybe someone else someday might like the same type of search, or just for historical reasons, I like to hold on to them. Well, let me show you how to do this. I'm going to go to this search called East Windsor. And when I go to settings, right up here at the top is the magic button that will turn this auto email into a saved search. When I do that, I simply just need to give it a name, probably the same one. And then it already knows the client it's for, so I just need to hit save. Now I only have 7 auto emails. That one has been converted into a saved search. And if I go up to my matrix contacts for that client, I'd see it there. Or if I go to save searches, I'll see it here too, right there. Something else you could do, you could save a search as a saved search, not as an auto email, but as a saved search. So if I've got one here for my client and it's a saved search, maybe I saved it because my client, Stan and Eileen, wasn't ready yet. So I kind of went in and saved the search criteria, but not as an auto email, just as a saved inactive search. Well, now that they're ready, I could click on it, go to settings, and turn this inactive save search into an active auto email. By clicking on it, now I give it a name. Scroll down, I get the welcome and a recurring message. Make it a concierge mode or ASAP, whichever one I like, and then save it. And now it's no longer a saved search. It is now an active search under auto emails. And remember, it's always under the contact too. But now for Stan and Eileen, I've got it right here already set up, and now just waiting for them to open up their auto email. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay. Well, that's the auto email. Now, what I'd like to show you next is how it looks like on the client's portal when they open this up. So I'm going to log into my email for Ray and show you, and that's why I gave Ray my email address in this just for this example, so I can show you what it looks like to him. Okay, so Ray logs into his email and he gets an email from his realtor, which is me. He goes and clicks on it, and this is that welcome message that he got. Hi Ray, welcome to the portal. You'll notice that he sees that message that I typed in there, but this is what he needs to click on. He needs to click on that. And just to let you know, or to show you, that on every auto email he will always have an option to opt out down here at the bottom. So Ray clicks on that link and it takes him to his client portal. Those are the 6 listings that currently match this. You'll notice I have my portal banner up here and some information. I will show you how to set all this up in the next step here. So now Ray gets those 6 houses. He can scroll down and look at them. He can change the view to a list view and look at them this way. He can change it to a gallery view, which he can now see it this way. And he can also switch it to, there's 3 dots where he can see some more client-friendly reports. Now they're all in the client-friendly version, so that way, just to remind you that they never see anything that they shouldn't be seeing. I'm just going to go back to the map view here. But Ray can pick the view he likes, and it'll always remember that view that he likes until he changes it there. Now, he can come over here and click on the heart and save listings as favorites, possibilities, or discards. Now, this house on Shawnee is currently active listing. If he does not save it and it sells, this will drop off of his portal and it'll just be gone. He might come back and ask me later what happened to it, but if he would have saved it, he could save it as a favorite or possibility. And now if it sells, it'll change on here and it'll say sold. Now we don't tell him the sold price, but it will just tell him that it's now sold. So he could come down, and I would encourage you to encourage your clients to save the ones they like. And then, because otherwise if they don't save it and it comes off the market, it's gone, it's off this list. Now, some listings might stay in the list for a while, but they can always click on here at any time and discard it. And when this refreshes and he comes back, it won't be shown here. It'll actually be shown still up here in the favorites. The favorites tabs will allow him to go to at any time and see the one he saved as a favorite, see the one he saved as a possibility, or see the ones he's discarded. And he can always come back in here and or remove it or change it to something else if he likes. Now once he sees this information, of course he can scroll through the photos, but he can also click on the address itself to pull up a more detailed view. Still a client-friendly view, but not with any information he shouldn't see. And he can leave a note for me as the realtor. And then he could hit add notes, and now I'll see that he left the notes. I'll show you also how you can set up your notifications to get notified on notes, or as your clients save listings as favorites. So that's under the favorites tab. Now he can always go back to find a home, and under find a home, this is where he can do his own searching for listings. And if he saves that search, it will show up under his tab called My Searches. Under My Searches, right now, he's only seeing the one that I've saved for myself, or I saved for him. But he could also, if he would have saved his own, see another set of searches that are his searches that he's done. And once again, I can get notified if he does do and save his own searches. I've showed you the Favorites tab. Messages is for him to see every email Matrix has ever sent to him, whether an auto email or a manual email that I sent to him through Matrix. And if he goes to the Property Notes tab, this shows me all the notes, or shows him all the listings that whether I or he has left notes. And if there's a new note here, he can always see a little message, a little indicator up here at the top that says there's a new note there. And he can come and see it and then reply to it. And then he can come to My Agents tab, and this is where he can see my information. He can see my little message that I have for him that I typed in, which I'll show you in the next step. And then down here you can see my active listings, or all the listings that are active in my companies that I work for, and he can do it there too. There is a Help tab up here. The Help tab allows him to go in and kind of see how the portal works, and there's a link at the bottom that would open up a video for him to watch. But that's his client's portal. I think it's pretty neat. I do encourage you to do add in a fake person into your contact list like I just did, and give them your email address, and then send it to yourself and see how it looks. And that way you'll be notified, or you'll see how it works for yourself. So next I want to go back into Matrix, and now I want to show you how to set up that banner that you have, that you just saw on mine. And this should be something you should do. If you haven't done it yet, definitely do this right away. But under the My Matrix tab, you're going to go down to My Information. Under My Information, this is where you're going to come in and fill out and check all these tabs here at the top. So starting with the Information tab, I'm just going to check and make sure everything's in here just correctly. There's not a lot of places where I have control where I can go in there and change in here. So if something is wrong, chances are you'll have to contact the MLS and have them update your information. And once it's in their system, then it should update it here too. But there are a couple spots down below that are open, such as my tagline and my additional information. This is where you can go in and type in some extra stuff. And you'll see why you might want to do this. Once you save it, then it'll use whatever's on this page, and I can use it in my header and footer section. Now, when you come into your header and footer section, you may not have a banner set up yet like I do. I'm going to click on this down here where it says select a different banner image, because some of you, when you first come in, it might look like this. This is telling me that, hey, I haven't picked a banner yet, so I need to choose one first. And I just choose that blue sofa one, but as you can see, there's about 30 or so in here that you can choose from. So once you come in here, just pick the one you like. Like I said, I just picked that one. And then you're going to hit the preview button. Preview button will just, I'm going to hit cancel. Preview button will just open that one that you chose and show it to you. You'll also probably not have your photo here too. So once you pick the banner you like, You can always go back in here and change it to a different one. Change it as often as you like. Down here you can upload your own banner. And when you click on it, you can see what the size is, 1600 by 120 pixels here. So definitely try to make sure it's really wide, but just not that tall. Otherwise, it may not fit in here right. And also notice that it put my name and information over here on the left. And if I have a photo, it just pushes it out more. So if you do your own banner, make sure you have your stuff starting about right in here on further. Because if you have it too far to the left, this picture and image may override it there, or may fall on top of it. You can say yes, use a photo. You can change it and upload it here. And this allows you just to go in and browse your computer, find the photo you like, and then you can always crop it out down the size you like. And then once you're done, just save it. You'll notice that it's got my name here first, company, sales rep, and email and phone website address. That's because I've got my name here first, then that, and then sales rep. And that's why back on that first tab, I typed in sales rep there because I might want to have that title underneath my name right there. When you do have it there, it may not be showing. So just make sure you open this up. And if I want sales rep to be my second line underneath my name, then choose sales rep in the second line down. And then choose what you like in the third line. Choose what you like on the fourth line and fifth line. And that's the order it shows up on. You can change the color schemes of your fonts too in here. So you can just click on that and change them. And based on what you have up above, we'll also give you a printable version of your header and footer. So that way when you print listings out, you can choose to have that there. And you can have a print footer, which shows up at the bottom of your printout. Some people are choosing not to do it just because it takes up extra space on your pages. So they say not to do that there. But I'm just going to go ahead and save this here. So that's the header and footer section there. You can always go back to the information tab and change or add things here. Just make sure you save it. And then when you come back in the header and footer, you'll be able to choose what you have over there. CMA cover sheet, you can fill this in. It just uses this information when you do a CMA. We have a CMA cover sheet for you that will use your picture information that you have typed in here. Email signature. I definitely think you should come in and type in your email signature. This is where you can come in, and you'll notice that when you first come in here, it's only your name, first and last name. So you might want to, come in here, enter down a few lines, type in sincerely or yours truly, whatever you like. Your name, your company title, address, and then if you highlight certain words, you can make it bold or non-bold, italicized, change the font type, change the font size, change the font color, things like that. So make sure you have this in here. You can even add links in here too, like I've got. So it's a lot of stuff here, but definitely make sure you have something. You could even copy and paste it from another email signature that you have and paste it into here, and chances are you'll be able to do that. I just can't guarantee that it'll always happen, but give that a try if you already have it somewhere else. And then obviously save it when you're done. Last but not least is this portal profile. If you remember back to Ray's portal, he had that greeting that I have for Ray. Well, that's coming from right here. If you don't have a message, you can turn it off and he won't see it. But if you do want a message, a greeting for him, type in something here and then hit that check mark so he'll have it. You could add a photo here, which I don't turn on just because on that portal he already has that up in my banner. He can see it there, so I didn't really need a photo again. I could put a video here. Contact information I think is good. Now here you'll notice it's the same stuff that he's seeing in this banner, but I'll have actually 10 spots. So I can come in here and type in my fax number and just any kind of contact information. Where the banner is only limited to 5, here I can have 10. Once again, on my inventory slideshow, if I do want to turn this on, what's under here is my active listings and my office listings. So that way I can show off all the listings I've got and show off all the office listings that I have too, or my company has. So I'll just turn that one on too and save it when you're done. And you'll notice I skipped over the agent web page, but just so you know, Matrix does give you your full-fledged websites. You'll need to enable it if you want to use it. Now, if you already have a website and if you're already happy with that website, then you probably don't need to worry about this. Just stay away from this section. This is only good if you want to have a website, maybe replacing the one you've got, or maybe you don't have one and don't want to pay for one. So here's where you can come in and turn it on. Now you'll notice your website name starts off with your full name, which can be changed, but it's got to end with .wesc.mlsmatrix.com. Even though it's a long one, what a lot of people do, they'll go out and buy a domain name. And once they buy that domain name, whoever they bought that from, they'll ask them to redirect it to this website address. So that way, all they have to tell their clients to do is go to that domain they just bought, and that company will redirect it to this one here. So that's kind of a neat feature. And if you do use this one, you'll need to go in and put in some information on your page. You know, who you are and why they should work with you. And then you can add your inventory, your contacts, your portal greeting, and all that stuff here. And then definitely include a sign-up form too. So that way, as people visit your website, they can reach out to you and give you your name and phone number. And then save it when you're done. But that's really, really quick on the agent webpage there. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the speed bar. The speed bar is always up here at the top, no matter what tab you're on. So for quick searching, such as MLS numbers, type in as many MLS numbers that you like, separated by a space or a comma, and then either hit that magnifying button to search or the enter button on your keyboard. And there you have all your listings with those MLS numbers. You could also do street number and street name. So for example, 527 Belmont, and then hit enter. And in this case, you see 3 listings at 527 Belmont. One of them is active and 2 solds. You could also do just a street name. So if you don't know the street number, just type in Belmont and you get every listing on Belmont, no matter what status it is or what property type. You can always sort it and see what property type you have. Now you could also throw in Belmont and then A as in active. And here you find the one listing that is on that street called Belmont that is active. Okay, next, you can do something like A for active, RES for residential, and then $, price range, in this case 300 to 400,000, space, and then something like a city, Windsor. And what you're getting here are active listings that are residential within $300,000 to $400,000 and Windsor. And when I hit enter, it'll ask me, did I mean? And choose, normally it's the first one that you'll like, but just check them, make sure you chose the right one. And then here's your results. I could also add in 3 plus space and then 2 plus. The first number, 3 plus, is for bedrooms. The second number, 2 plus, are for full or total baths. So when I do my search here, this one will give me everything with 3 or more total bedrooms and 2 or more total baths. So if you look at my results here, I've got at least 3 bedrooms or more and at least 2 baths or more. So here you can see I have 2.1 bath, which is 2.5 or 2, but they're all 2 or more total baths. The next thing that's important to know is that the order does not matter. You can type in whatever you like, maybe the price range first, and then the 3 plus, and then let's say the res, and then let's say the 2 plus, and next we'll do Windsor, and finally we'll do the A for active. Do your search and you'll get the same thing. So the order does not matter, except the first number you see, in this case is 3 plus, is total beds. The second number you see, 2 plus, in this example, is for total baths. Now you'll notice that the price range, 300 to 400,000, is not technically a number because it starts with a dollar sign. So that one kind of says, hey, we're talking about listing price here. Where this is just a number and that's just a number. So the first number is always total beds. And if I didn't have the 3 plus here, and now you can see my first and only number is 2 plus, this means that I want 2 or more total beds. And I'm not concerned about the baths. So the order does not matter. Another example here where the order does matter is that if I add a second town, such as Lakeshore. Since I have Windsor and then I add Lakeshore, they do need to be connected to each other. I couldn't put anything else in between. That means I want those 2 towns. And there you go, I've got my results. So the speed bars is pretty cool, pretty powerful. You can do a lot of things up there. You can even do an agent search, such as AG, and then type in a last name. First name or last name. Click on it, and now you see the agents with the last name of Smith, no matter which MLS they belong to or board, Windsor, Chatham-Kent, or Sarnia. And then if you click on that person's user ID, it'll just pull up, show you their name and information, contact information, and then if you click on active listings, you can see their active listings. So that's just AG. You can also do OFF also for office. Now you can look at the quick help up here, the question mark, and this gives you an example of some things you can do with the speed bar. Speed bar is pretty cool, pretty powerful, but might take some getting used to also. So just remember that question mark right there if you need to pull up and find out how to utilize the speed bar. But you also notice the speed bar if you when you do your searches, just regular old searches like search, residential, and then you start putting in criteria like sale, pick your areas, pick your municipalities, pick your price range, bedrooms, bathrooms. But watch this. As you do your searches and you go to results, notice the speed bar up here. When I go to results, the speed bar is trying to tell me what works and what doesn't work. So you can see that some of that did work up there in the speed bar. But over here, under the other criteria, the sale type didn't work and the major area type didn't work. But the municipalities, districts did work in that case. Bedrooms worked, price range, active, and res did work. So if you just pay attention as you do your searches up there, it'll just in its own way teach you on how the speed bar works. Next, I'd like to show you how to create your own speed bar shortcuts. Now, if you want to create your own, whether using a map or however you want to save your speed bar search, just go and do your search. In this case, I'm going to do residential. And let's say I want a speed bar search for major area of Windsor-Essex. and I'm going to come down here. I'm going to choose Tecumseh. Since I couldn't do sub-districts in the speed bar, I'm going to create my own speed bar, and it's going to be called Tecumseh. So the only thing I have selected here is those fields along with active status. So now when I go to results, I want to save this. So if I come down and I hit the save button down here at the bottom, there's also another option instead of the typical save search and new auto email, but there's now one called new speed bar shortcuts. In the speed bar shortcut, if I save it, what will happen is it'll ask me to give it a name. Now you'll notice the name always starts off with a backslash. So in this case, I might just call it Tecumseh. So backslash has to be there, but then I'm going to type in my name here. And then when I come down to the bottom and I save it, I have my own speed bar shortcut called Tecumseh. So anytime in the future, if I want to know, if I quickly want to find listings that are active in that sub district, I just need to go to speed bar / Tecumseh and enter. And voila, there you go. All active listings in that sub-district of Tecumseh. Pretty cool. Now you can also, back here on my criteria, I saved that by picking a major area and sub-districts. But I could have also done that by drawing a map shape. So just imagine spending 20 minutes getting a map shape just right, and then going to the results and saving it as a speed bar shortcut. If I would have done that with this Tecumseh one, I could have gave it that same name, but this time instead of using sub-district, I would be using the map that I drew instead. And that way I don't have to draw that shape over and over again. It's just there for me. Now something else I want to show you with that speed bar. Now that I have one called Tecumseh, if I put a slash and then Tecumseh here, space, I can also say, well, I want everything in that speed bar shortcut that I saved, but it also has to be between 3 and 400,000 with 3 or more beds and 2 or more total baths. So I'm using that speed bar shortcut that I saved, but I'm winnowing it down even more by putting my price, beds, and baths in there. So I took that 34 originally and filtered it down even further here. So I used my first part, and then this is customizable to me on the fly. Now, if you forget all the speed bar shortcuts that you save, you can find them again under My Matrix, Settings, Speed Bar Shortcuts. When you open this up, you'll see all the speed bar shortcuts that you have saved. And you can always pick some of these and delete them to clean them up. Okay, next. Here are some searching tips for you. When you do a normal regular search by hovering over search and choosing your property type, on this screen I want to show you some tips and tricks for you. The first I want to show you with the addresses, or I'm sorry, the time frames. So when I pick a date range such as solds here, it automatically puts 0 to 180 days back here for me, which is 6 months. But I can always click on there, back that out, and type in my date range here. I could always use the calendar, which is right here. I personally don't like the calendar too much because if I know my dates, I can always type that in. But here, if I go back to, let's say, January 1st, and then up here is today's date, I can click on it and it picks everything from January 1st to April 29th and hit OK. But another way you could have done it, and the way I like to do it, is just simply type in my date range, either with the range or with a plus sign. And a plus sign means everything from January 1st of 2018 all the way up to our current dates. Make sure you put that plus sign there, because without it, it means just that one day. I get the date range also when I click on conditionally sold or leased. It just assumes I don't want to go back the entire 20 something years, however far back the MLS goes. It just makes me pull back just the recent ones. Now I can also use the date range on actives. You notice it doesn't put it there because typically people want all active listings, but I could say just the actives in the last, let's say, 30 days or last 7 days, or pick my date range, type it in like I just showed you. So that's how you use the dates, and you can see right up here it just reminds you the formats of how it needs to be. Okay, next, street names. Now, very important, you still have your asterisk to use on street names like you had before, but it's so much better now in Matrix. So I can type in something like Maple, and then when I go to my results, I only get listings on Maple, exactly Maple. Now, Avenue is not part of the street name, it's a street type, so I got everything with exactly Maple. If I go back to my criteria, and this time I do an asterisk after Maple. Now I get everything that starts with Maple, but I'm not sure how it ends. So in this case, I got Maple Leaf. So with Maple and asterisk at the end means I know what it starts with, I don't know how it ends. So in this case, it's Maple whatever it could be. Now, if I throw in my asterisk at the beginning, this is something you never had before. This is saying the opposite of what I just showed you. This says everything ends in Maple. I don't know what it starts with. So if I do my search now, I still get Maple, but now I get Norway Maple and Silver Maple. But they end in Maple. It's the first part I didn't know about, and that's what I got. Notice I didn't get Maple Leaf in here, because I said back here, I know it ends in Maple, so it eliminated the Maple Leaf. But if I add my asterisks on both sides, this will give me everything that has Maple in it, whether it starts with Maple, ends in Maple, or Maple is somewhere in the middle. So that is always the best way to search. And when you go to results, you get Maple, but you also get Maple Leaf, Norway Maple, Silver Maple, and if there was a Silver Maple Leaf with Maple in the middle, I would have gotten that one too. Now, knowing this opens up the possibilities to find a lot of things. So knowing your options there, if you ever have a situation where you know it's, let's say, St. Clair, but you don't know if it's ST or ST period. Now, what you could do is do an asterisk. I know it ends in Claire. I just don't know if it starts with ST or ST period. So I do asterisk because I don't know how it starts, but I do know it ends in Claire. Now when I do my search, I'll get everything that ends in Claire, whether it starts with ST or ST period. Now this one, I got all the same thing. So let me broaden this up and take out my active statuses. I want to get a lot of results for you to really show you what I just got. So by doing my asterisk clear and I go to results, you'll notice here I got Claire, St. Clair, St. Clair, St. Clair, some with the period and some without the period after Saint in there. In fact, even if they would have spelled out Saint, S-A-I-N-T, I would have still gotten it because it ends in Claire. Now, I want to show you what else it got. If I sort it by addresses, I'd also get listings like Sinclair because it ends in Claire. But if you notice, what comes before the C in Sinclair is an N. But what comes before the C in St. Clair is a space. So, a little tip for you, if I go back to criteria and I do an asterisk space, because I know it doesn't only end in Claire, it ends in a space Claire. So now if I do that, I eliminate the Sinclairs. And I only get St. Clair's because there's a space and a C-L-A-I-R. Okay? You can do that with highways or county roads, things like that. Or you can also do, let's say, McNaughton, a street called McNaughton, and you're not sure, is it MC Naughton or MC space Naughton? What you could do is the same thing, asterisk Naughton. You know it ends in Naughton, but you don't know if it's MC or MC space. So just do asterisk Naughton. Now when you do your search or results, you'll get McNaughton or let's look down here. I'm sure we've got one here. Let me I think I have it sorted that way. That's why. There we go. Or McNaughton with no space in there. So now by me doing asterisk Naughton, I got both situations, Naughton and McNaughton, both ways. I could have done this too, just to show you. I could have typed in McNaughton and more, and then Mc space Naughton, and that would have done it too. And same thing with my St. Clair. I could have done it this way too, St. Clair. And if I wanted to try that third way, S-A-I-N-T, Clair, which I don't see too many like that, but that way I would have gotten all three situations. So the more button kind of helps, and in this situation I know there's only two possibilities, or three, so I just use the more instead of the asterisk there. So for some of us that might work best. Okay, next. I want to show you how to pick multiple options, such as type of dwelling. When I click one and then I click another, the other one goes away. And I click another and the previous one goes away. So to pick multiple items here, just hold down your control button or a command button with a Mac, and then you can pick as many as you like. Now to get rid of them, let's say I made a mistake and I just want two-story, or I want to get rid of two-story. And you notice I click on it and it doesn't go away. How do I get that one to go away? Well, hold down the control button and deselect it, and then it goes away. So if you pick something by mistake and want to get rid of it, just hold down the control button and deselect it, and now it comes out. Next, you'll notice that you have an and or and not here. The defaults in all these are always or. Or is what you always want it to be. So if I pick 2.5 car, 1.5 car, and let's say a double garage here, by holding down the control button and having those three selected there, leaving it on or, I'm getting one or the other. A 1.5, a 2 car, or 2.5 car garage, one or the other. If I choose not, that means I don't want a 1.5, 2 car garage, or 2.5 car garage. That means I don't want those three. If I change it to and means it has to be all three of them. So that listing I find has to be a 1.5, 2.5, and a double or a 2 car garage, 2.5 car garage. Has to be all three. So be careful on the ands. I think not is pretty explanatory here. And or just means I want, or is usually what you do want. So just be careful. Even if I would pick a double, let me do double, and I have attached. If I have attached and double and I say and, it's only going to find those that are double and attached based on what the listing agent tells us. There are probably a lot of listings out there that have a 2 car garage that's attached, but if the listing agent doesn't tell us that and they only said double garage, you won't find it. So make sure that when you're on and, you might be eliminating some that actually do have double and attached, because sometimes the listing agent doesn't fill that in. So your safest bet is always or. And not is just a quick way of saying I'll take anything, any type of garage except, let's say, an underground garage. So instead of trying to pick everything here, I just said not. Or maybe choose on none. Say I don't want a no car garage. It has to be some type of a garage. So I can, instead of picking everything, not is a good example there. Okay. Okay, next. Using the map to draw a shape. Okay, pretty cool. I love the maps in Matrix. So first thing you could do is when you first come into your search, and let's say you want to draw a shape. Okay, I'm not going to do the radius just yet. So I come in, I want to draw a shape. I can either click on Map Search or the Map tab here at the top. By clicking on that, it takes me to the Map tab. And you'll notice that my big old map of southern part of Ontario comes up. Now, you can always relocate this and zoom in on the area that you want and zoom in a little closer again. Now what you're seeing here with these little balloons that pop up, it just means that there's 10 listings here, 26 listings there, 67 down there, 83 there, 93 there, and 243 there. So as you click on it, it just drills down even closer. Now there's 192 there, 82 there. And as you drill down closer and closer, sometimes you'll get the map to populate like this, like with all these listings here. Each green pin is an active listing. And on occasion, you'll see some that says 2 or a 4 on there, or 2. And that just means that there's 2 listings there. It's so tightly congested that if I zoom in on this, there's actually 2 underneath that pin, maybe right next to each other or something. And there's 2 right next to each other there. It's so close together that they just put 2 on there. And if I click on it, you actually see those 2 listings. But what I want to do here is I want to actually draw my shape. But you'll notice that these pins kind of get in my way. So if I want to do, let's say, the Riverside area over here, all these pins are in my way, and I want to go up here and draw a radius or a rectangle or a polygon. Now I like the polygon. That allows me to create many-sided shape. But once again, I have these pins in my way, and it kind of makes it tough for me to really see and draw my shape. And even if I drill down even closer, it still is kind of tough because I have the pins there. So watch this little tip. To get rid of these pins just temporarily, if I go back to criteria, I could do an MLS number of 0. With MLS number 0, guess how many listings I find? 0. There's no listings with that MLS number. So now when I go to my map, there are no listings mapped here. So it kind of gives me a clean slate to really look at my map area. So now I can go up and use my polygon, and when I click on it, it turns yellow. Now what I can do is, okay, and I'm just guessing at the area here, but let's say Jefferson area or Jefferson Boulevard comes down, and then it goes to Tecumseh, and Tecumseh kind of twists here a little bit, and then it comes up here on this little inlet of water here. And so let's say this is my new little area that I want to draw. So there's my location there. So now if I go back to criteria, I can clear this map. Oh, actually, I didn't want to do that. So let's go back and draw it again here real quick. My bad. I wanted to get rid of the 0, MLS number 0. So my bad. So I just want to draw my area. I'm pretending that this Riverside area is right here. And just come back up here. Draw that again like that. Now if I go back to criteria, I'm going to take out the MLS number 0. By taking that out, now when I go back to my map, I can see how many listings are in this area. So just pretending that this area of Riverside has these boundaries, I can always drill in closer and make sure I've got it just right on that river way there. So here you notice I could actually tweak this out a little bit like that, and pull this over a little bit like that, and then pull this down a little bit like that, just to get the river walkway a little closer. And I can even pull this in. So if I really want to get fine-tuned on this, I can do this here. So that's really pretty cool there. Okay, so there's my riverside area. Now, I could, if I wanted to, save this as a new save search and make it a favorite on my homepage. Give it a name and say, yes, make this one of my favorites on my homepage. That way I don't have to do this again and run that search. I already have the map drawn as a template. Or I could always save it as a speed bar shortcut, and this would be my riverside search. But I also want to come in and show you how you can eliminate little areas. So now that I got my area drawn, I want to eliminate a section of this for whatever reason. So now I can come in and I can say, well, everything to Lozon Road there, I want to eliminate. Just because, let's say, you know, my ex lives there and I want to stay away from her or something like that. So I can come in here and exclude that shape. Or if I was doing a CMA, and let's say this is the area that the that subject property is in, but this, for whatever reason, and I've never been there, let's just say it's just not the same type of area that my comp is in, so I want to eliminate that section there. So just by coming in there, I eliminated it. I can always go back and delete that shape, or I can say, no, I want to include that shape. Maybe it's somewhere else I wanted to eliminate. Or I can just delete it altogether there. So just basically by me clicking on one of these options, such as the polygon, I was able to draw my own shape here and eliminate whatever area I wanted to, just by first drawing that shape and then hovering over the red dot and excluding that shape. Pretty cool. I will go back and delete that map now. So next, if I want to draw it by a radius search, now what I could do is pick my distance, like 3 kilometers, of an address. And you'll notice as I'm typing this in, it'll pop up and say, well, did you mean this? Yes, I did mean that. And by clicking on that, I've got my 3 kilometers of that address, and it says map area selected. I click on it, look at my map, and there is my 3 kilometers of that address. Now what I can do is just grab it and move this out further, or grab it and move it back in. And as I move that, you can see the radius is changing on me here. And then as I go back to criteria, it's right there. Okay. Next I want to show you is, let's say I don't know the address. Let's say it's David Suzuki School. See, as I'm typing that in, even if I type in school here, it automatically switches it and puts the address there, which is pretty cool. So I didn't know the address. I just knew it was David Suzuki School, and it populated in there. Now when I go to my map shape, you'll see it's the radius right there based on my school that I typed in there. So even in maps, you could draw shape around school districts or special subdivisions or sections of town, if you will. So you can actually create your own little shapes. Okay, and last but not least, you got a lot of fields you can search for here. But if you don't find everything that you're looking for, you could come down here and add or remove fields. When you first come here, you won't have any additional fields. I added those fields myself. So you could go in and add more fields. Now me, I've already added realtor remarks, waterfront, and some of these other ones here. So if there's something that you want to add, just find it over here and then hit add, and it pulls it over here. And then once you have something here, you can hit remove and it pulls it out. You could also double click on something like acreage info. If I double click, it takes it out if it's in here. If it was over here and I double clicked, it pulls it in. So you could just double click too. Or highlight and remove. Highlight and remove. Okay. Now with the three boards coming together, Windsor, Sarnia, and Chatham, there probably are new fields in here, so you might need to just take a look at some of them. And I think one of the new fields is waterfront. Basement development, I think, is another one there too. And then once you put those there, they will always be down here for you until you remove them. So now they're always down here. But remember, they're only down there for my residential search because that's the one I added it to. If I go to a condo or farm search, it won't be there because I'd have to add them again there too. So each search has its own set of fields that you can customize. Okay, now after you do your search, and I'm just going to put some criteria in here and go to results. I want to talk about this screen for a moment. On the results grid, as I call it, you're currently seeing a display called Agent Single Line. Now, you can come up here and change this to another view like the thumbnail view. Now you're seeing the same listings but in the thumbnail view. And you can go back to the single line view just that quick. You can open this up. You'll notice we have one for sold details, single line. We have a full view, a flyer view, and a client full view. And we may have some new ones coming in later, but for now those are what we have. And let's say I like that agent thumbnail view. In fact, every time I get the results, I like this view better than the single line. What I can do is come over to this wheel, the settings wheel, and I could set this as my default. So every time I come in and do get the results and I want to look at them, this is the display I want to see. I don't want to see the single line view. So that wheel allows you to set it. Next, you also have these pins right here, the icons I mean. This one means photos. You can open up, scroll through, and look at all the photos of the house. The next one is a map. You can click on and see the map of the property. And here you can, if available, you can even switch it to a Google Street View. If Google has been there, you can see the Google Street View there. Pretty cool. And once you're on this map view, you can always open it up and switch it to a satellite view. Or zoom in on this a little closer. Now, there's no other views or icons here. There are little open houses here that you'll see. So if there's an open house, you'll see that little door opening up there. And also if you click on the MLS number over here, it'll take you to the display, the agent full view. And on this agent full view, you also see the map and photo icon, history icon, which shows you every time it's changed price. But you also have a tab up here called history too. If available, you have a web forms, a touch base up there, and an audit logs. Audit logs just shows you things such as things that have changed and who made the changes there. Kind of like a little bit. It's kind of like the history. If I click on the history, you can see things like every time it's changed price or something just changed on it. That's the history of it there. And that's on the full view. You have those icons there. And we should also have attachments too. I'm not sure if there's going to be another column out here for attachments, but it should definitely be under, when you click on the full view here, you should see some papers. up here on top of each other. Attachments like, the lead-based paint, property disclosure forms, maybe floor plan layouts, anything where the agents had uploaded documents. Now I'm not seeing many right here though, but that's where the icon would show. And I'm not sure, but it might show over here too in one of these columns, but I don't see it there yet. Okay, next I want to show you three different ways, or two different ways to email listings. If you come over here and you just click on a handful of listings, the first and most obvious way to email is the email button down here at the bottom. So by me check marking those listings there and I hit email, I'm going to email those 4 listings that I had check marked, and I can just hit the to box here and pick my clients that I want to email this to. Or if I would have just started typing the person's name in my contact list, I can pick them that way too. I can always email anyone that has an email address, just not contacts, but anyone that has an email address. They don't have to be in my contact list. So as I come in here, I can just send this to a friend of mine, Ray Henry, at whatever.com. And he's not in my contact list, but I can still send it to him, and he can get this here. Just give it a subject matter like you do on all emails, and give it a message here in the email body like in all emails. But when Ray, my friend, gets this and he opens this, he's going to see those 4 listings, and he's going to see it on my portal, or on a little portal for him. Now he's not a contact, so he doesn't have the same abilities like my contacts do. He's not going to be able to save listings as favorites or add notes, and he doesn't have those extra buttons up here like my contacts did, but he can still see it in this client view. And this is live information that they're seeing, so he can switch it to a view that he does like. And there's always more underneath those 3 dots. The 3 dots, he can click on something like the client full, which has a lot of information on properties that you can see. So no matter who they are, as long as they have an email address, you can email that. And all I did was check those listings and hit email, and it sent it to whoever I emailed it to. That's the best and most popular way to email. But the second way to email, this one I'd be a little cautious on, because you can send some things that you really shouldn't be sending to people. And that second way is actually under prints. So when I pick my listings and I hit prints, obviously I can print those 4 listings in whichever views I pick here. Okay? But if I pick those views, you could not just print them as a PDF or print them with your header and footer, or not your header and footer, but you could email it to someone in that view. And what they're going to get are those 4 listings in that agent flyer or thumbnail or full view. And just remember, should you email an agent report to a client, to a customer? So this should be used very cautiously. Only email listings in those agent views to maybe yourself, or to another realtor, or to a bank or a lender or someone like that, someone who's not a contact, and where it doesn't hurt if they see the agent information there. Okay, I would definitely not email clients. Even if I used a client full view, I still wouldn't email those 4 listings to a client of mine in this view, because those 4 listings are not on their portal. You always want to keep everything you send them via an email on their portal, because if I did it this way, they would get those 4 listings, but like I said, it's not on their portal. So by going back to results, just the 2 ways is you're going to use the email button or the print, but the print is a little bit more advanced there, and just be cautious of that there. Okay. Well, just as a review, the button bar at the bottom, okay, first you have actions where you can email listings and print that I just showed you. You could use those 4 listings I just check marked and use it to start a CMA. You can do driving directions. So now that I have those 4 houses picked, when I hit driving directions, it'll put them in the best driving order for me. And there they go. And now when I scroll down, here's the turn by turn by turn to get to those 4 houses, the best order. Here's my total distance and time. Here's just the distance and time in between those 2 houses there. I can email, I can print. Now it doesn't know where I'm starting from. It just used those 4 houses, but I can always add my own starting spot or my own stop spot here. Up here, here are those 4 houses, and I can always just grab them and put them in my own order that I like them in. And once I do that, come down here and hit directions again, have it recalculate it, and now you can see my new distance and time and driving order. Okay, so pretty cool. I like the driving directions there. Underneath that, you got refine, you got save, and you got carts. If I pick refine, now I have 4 listings check marked, and under refine I can come down to narrow. By me hitting narrow, you can see that I've narrowed it down to just those 4 houses, not all 17. Now to unnarrow, I can use the back button at the top, or right above where it says narrowed original results, there's my original results right there. So if I click on it, it just takes me back to the 17. Now let's say I pick those 4 because I don't like them. So I could come over here and discard them. Now I'm looking at 13, not 17 listings. I just got rid of 4 listings. And now I can use the undiscard button to bring them back. And there's all 17 of them. Okay, next I got the refine button. And if I change on refine, if I go down here and say view as contact, I can say, some of these look good. I think Steve and Rosa might, did I ever email this to them? So I pick on their name and it'll tell me if I've ever emailed any of these to them. And you can see that these 5 I have emailed to them before. So I don't make the mistake and send it to them again. In fact, not only did I email to them, but this column here would tell me if they have saved it as a favorite or as a possibility or discarded it. And this column here is notes. If it's yellow, it would tell me that they've had a note there. I can open it up, or I can open it up and type in my own notes. So it's a really cool feature, and that's under the refine options. Just pick your client, and it tells you if you've ever emailed it to them. And go back up to clear, and it moves it back out. But that's under refine. Save is just where you could, once you do your search, save it as an inactive save search, or save it as a new auto prospecting search, or as a new speed bar search. And then last but not least are carts. Carts are really neat feature too. So for example, let me pick 3 houses, and let's say I email those 3 listings to a client. And in here, I'm going to pick a client, well, I've been picking on Steve and Rosa, so let me use them again. So if I email those 4 listings to Steve and Rosa, okay, now let's say they come back later and they say, hey, we like those houses, Keith. Can we go see those tonight? I say, okay. So I set up the appointments, and now we go look at them. What I like to use the carts for, whatever listings I show them, in this case, those 4 houses, I like to put it in their cart. That's how I keep track of what I show them. So if I pick those 4 listings, and I go down to carts, and I open this up, and I go to my client, Steve and Rosa, you can see that I already have 11 listings in their cart, which to me means I've showed them 11 houses already. So with these 4 listings check marked, and with Steve and Rosa's cart picked here, I'm going to add those 4 listings to their cart. Now just remember, every contact in your database has a cart. Whether they have listings there or not, they have a cart. It's just that you probably have never put anything there. So when you do, as long as they're a contact, they already have a cart there. So by me adding to their carts, it's going to now go up to 15 houses that are in their carts. Now, just because I put those 4 listings, or in total 15, in their cart, doesn't mean they can see it on their portal. The portal is for your clients. The cart is for you. So if you want to keep track of listings, you put it in your cart. If you want them to save it and leave you notes and see it, you email it to them. So the portal is for them to save, and a cart is for you. Now, if I want to go and view their cart down here, then view those 15 listings. I click on the view, and here are those 15 listings that I have in their carts. You can see that there's some notes added to them. Now, I have 15 listings in their carts, but I can tell you that only 13 of them are on their portal. How do I know that? Is because this one right here has never been sent to them, and this one right here has never been emailed to them. So they cannot see those 2 listings because I've never emailed it to them. If I want them to see it, then just check mark them, go back to action, and email it to them. And now that I've emailed it to them, now you can see that I have, and it's on their portal. So just because I put it in their cart didn't mean that they can see them. But on the opposite side, just because I emailed it to them doesn't automatically put it in the cart. I have to manually put them in the carts. So what that helps me with is, now that after I get back from showing those properties tonight, if I go on my homepage here, I can go look at those 15 listings that are in their carts. And when I click on those 15 listings, now what I can see is I can come back to one of those properties I just checked and say, leave a little note here like showed on 429, 429, and didn't like it. Okay, so you can add notes, so that way Steve and Rosa call me back months later and ask me about something, such as this one on Munger, 250 Munger. Oh yeah, I showed it to you, or I emailed it to you on the 9th, and if I would have left a note there, I would have known what they thought about it too. Or if Steve and Rosa left a note, I could see it too. So it's a really pretty handy feature to save listings to someone's cart. Okay. Okay, now let's show you how to do a CMA. CMA, there's actually 2 ways to start a CMA. The first way is under My Matrix and going down to My CMAs. Now, I will warn you now, I've got a better way, or I think is a better way. So just kind of stick with me on this first way. I'm going to show you the second way, which I would recommend most of the time. So the first way is coming into My CMAs. Here's a list of all your CMAs. And then down here, using to start a new CMA. And when you click on that, you'll see all these tabs up here. So when I come down here, you'll notice that you'll need to pick your client and then go to the next tab, Pages. And the reason why the rest of these tabs are grayed out is because I have no pages selected here. So I don't need any more tabs because I have no pages selected. Now, we give you several pages, 2 cover sheets, 2 pages here, several pages under the comparables option, some static pages, and a map page. So what I would recommend, you could either open this up and click each one individually, pull them over, or if you just click on the header itself, pulls over all those pages inside of that category. So I would recommend pulling them all over here. And now you see the rest of these tabs. But it's not until you get to step 5, the comparables, And the comparables now has you searching for your comps. Now there are no comps, and now you have to hit add from listings to do your search for CMAs. Well, you'll see my way next, and let me show you how I think you should start your CMA. My way of doing a CMA starts with doing a search. What are you searching for? Well, you're going to search for your comparable properties first. So come into search and then choose your property type and then choose your criteria. Well, obviously I think you want solds in here, and then you can go in and probably do a radius search. I think this is a great time to do a CMA or to use the radius searches while you're doing a CMA. So you're going to put in your distance of your subject property. And your map area is selected. So now when I go and look at the map, you'll see I have a lot of matches so far. Red ones are solds and green ones are actives. So now what you're going to do is start narrowing this down. Maybe you just want 3-bedroom homes because the subject property has 3 bedrooms. Maybe the subject property has 2 total bathrooms. So I'm going to search for 2 total bathrooms. Maybe I've gotten too many sold, so maybe I need to narrow this down to 90 days instead of 3 months instead of 6 months there. And you can come down, you can choose all kinds of stuff like 2-story houses, things like that, or maybe in this case, single story. Let me take that one out because it narrowed it down too much there. You can say full basements, and now I'm down to 19. You could say with, let's see, maybe with a double garage here. Well, that really narrowed it down too far, so let's take that back out. But you get the point. You're going to do your best to search for comps. You're going to come in here and select this as best way as you want, and then when you go to map, this can kind of help you too. And here's where you could stretch this out and pull this in. And like I showed you earlier, I could even come in and draw a section of town that is just not, the same comparable neighborhood out here. Okay, let me kind of pull this in on Walker Road. Let's just say Walker Road is the area that's just not the same. Okay, so then I can hover over here and say exclude listings there. So here's my CMA. I eliminated an area. I wanted a radius, but I want to eliminate an area here because it's just not the same type of neighborhood. And go back to criteria, and everything looks good. So now I've done the hardest part. I've searched by criteria, but now I got to do the second hardest part. Now I got to decide which ones I want to be my comparables. So now I come in here, and you notice because I used a radius search, I get a new column called distance here. So it tells me how far away each property is from the subject of the subject property. So I'm just going to come in and pick, there are 3 actives, so I'm going to pick those, and there's 3 solds. So I'm just randomly selecting them, but you're going to do a much better job than I am, and you're actually going to pick the ones that you think are good comps. Well, now that I've done the second hardest part, I've identified and selected the comparable listings. Well, now I come down to the bottom here and I hit CMA. Now just before I do, I also want to show you that there is a stats one you could hit, and if it's not there yet, we also have a quick CMA tab down here. So by clicking on the quick CMA tab, this will show you those 6 that I just picked, but it gives you like a pretty much a one-pager. This will show you the 3 actives and the 3 solds with some prices here and some calculations in here. So just really down and dirty, you can see what the medium, price, minimum, maximum, and averages are for those actives and solds. So that was the quick CMA. But a regular full CMA, I'm going to hit CMA down here. So what it's going to do is going to pick those 6 that I just checked, and by hitting CMA, it's going to pull them into this section that we just saw a few moments ago. Now I still need to pick my client, and I still need to go to pages here. And like before when I showed you, remember there's no pages over here. So you're going to need to pick the pages, which I recommend picking everything. Now, after you pick everything, you might need to look at the Finish tab here and see what each page looks like, because you'll probably want to come back and start highlighting some of these here and start taking them out. And there's going to be some that you like, but you want to move them up higher. And I don't need 2 cover sheets, so let me highlight one and take it out. So there's others in here that you can move around. I also want to show you this. You can upload your own pages. So if I have my own cover sheet, I can upload it and put it into this CMA, and then I don't need to use our cover sheet. I'll use my own. But anyways, once you've got the pages you like, take out the ones you don't like, move them around, and add your own custom pages. You'll probably want to set it as your defaults, because you don't want to have to come through this and look at them all again and do that again and again. So you could always set it as your defaults. Now, I don't think I would hit restore defaults, because right now if I click on that, I'd lose everything. So, because I've never set my defaults yet. The next page is subject property. This is the subject property. Here, I think you're going to want to put this in here, because when I have my side-by-side views with the 6 properties, I'm also going to have a column for the subject property, so you can see how it matches up with the 6 comps side by side. So if I know the MLS number, just type it in here and hit fill. If I don't know it, I could search for it and see if it's in there. But 9 times out of 10, you might not find it there, and you might have to go in here and type it in manually. So when I type it in manually here, it just gives me a blank sheet. It says, okay, what's your address? Well, in fact, let me do the address I searched for. Okay, do as much as you know. Do your subtypes, your beds, above, below, fill in as much as possible here. And you even have some custom fields down here. Custom fields give you the flexibility of linking a field that they have in Matrix, such as number of basement units, or maybe basement descriptions. Let's type in, or development, basement developments. So that's a new field I could populate in here, and it's going to populate it from whatever is in Matrix, because that's that link there. But I could also type in my own fields. I can create my own, like curb appeal. Well, curb appeal is not a field that's in the MLS. So here I can just say, well, theirs is in excellent shape. Okay, where mine's in poor shape, or whatever have you there. So so you can just keep it like that, and you'll see this later. And I can always save those custom fields as my default, because those might be ones I use all the time. I can go and browse and upload a photo. And just for a quick time, let me pick one here. Okay, and then I can go to the cover sheet. Now you will notice that it auto saves this along the process here, and there is a save button right here that I can always click on to save it too. But there's my subject property, there's my information. I can always edit it right here if I need to, and if I don't have the client's address, I can type it in again right here. And then the next one's comparables. Now this one, you'll notice I already have the 6. Remember that first way I came in? Well, I would have had to add them right then and there, or do my search. But now that I came in this way, they're already done. They're already picked for me. Okay. But if I come back in months later, they're still here. But I can now select some and get rid of them, because maybe they're older ones and I've got newer, fresher ones to add in the CMA. Or I can hit add from listings here, and now that it's 2 or 3 months later, it remembers my search criteria, and all I have to do is hit results to find some new ones, some fresh ones out there. And it excludes the ones that I have already picked. Okay, so I can't accidentally pick the same one again because it's excluding my original ones there. So you always want to keep it fresh and up to date on your CMAs, and that's where you can do that at. Map just will map these properties along with the subject property. Okay. Adjustments. Now adjustments I'd be careful on. Yes, you can make, pricing adjustments here, but I'm not an appraiser, so it's tough for me to know how much full basement versus a partial basement is, a 2-car garage versus a 1-car garage is. Okay. And then if I get to the very end here, you're going to notice that curb appeal and that basement development that I put in there. Those weren't originally here until I added it under that subject page part. And then last but not least is curb appeal. Curb appeal would allow me to, that's that one I typed in myself. So as I go down these other ones, I can just say they're average shape or poor shape or whatever, just so we can talk about it with me and my clients. And then the next page is pricing. It gives me the stats of those comps that I picked, the average, lowest, highest, median price. Down here under the suggested list price, it allows me to click in there, and now I can type in what I think we should list it for. And then the notes section allows me to click in there and say why I think this is the price I came up with. So those are the two fields you have there. Type in what I think, and I could have even done a range here too if I wanted to. And then down below, give reasons why, if I want to. That's the good range. And then last but not least is finish. Finish would allow me to view the CMA, go through and look at all those pages, see which ones I like, don't like, or email it. Now once you view it the first time, you might want to come back to pages and take out those pages you don't like and move them around, but viewing it first would be helpful. And then make sure you save it just by hitting the save. And if you hit the X, it would actually, quit the CMA and potentially delete everything too out there. Now that it's saved, well, you can find it 2 places. You can find it under the contact. In this case, I believe it was Stan and Eileen. You can find it here. Now they actually have 2 CMAs, the one I just did for them, or under my CMAs. You can go here and find it here too. And when I come down here, I can hit Edit CMA. And now I can just view it or email it to my clients there. But that is a CMA. Okay, next. I want to show you how to add a listing and then modify listings. So to add a listing, first it depends if you have the ability to add listings or not. Assuming that you do have the ability to add a listing, well, you would go to the Input tab here. Under the Input tab, under this first section called Listings, you're going to use the Add New option here. By clicking on Add New, now it allows you to pick your property types. So you can do residential, condo, farm. I believe most of you already know that you can have one listing added under a couple property types. So one listing could be a residential and it could be a farm. So let's pretend that I've already added one as a farm. And now I want to add that same listing again, but this time as a residential. So when I come in and I pick residential, if it's already in there once, this fill from existing listing part would allow me to type in the farm's MLS number. And then when I hit fill from, it would copy as much as possible from that farm listing over into the residential. So it's a copy feature. This fill from existing listing also works if, let's say, my residential listing has expired or sold or been suspended or canceled, and now I want to come back and put it back on the market. Well, I don't have to start from scratch. As long as it was my listing before, I have permission to type it in here and fill from or copy it from its previous MLS number. And then if I did that, when I go and add the photos, I can copy the photos over too. It saves me a lot of time on both cases. Now, I just still have a handful of fields to fill out, like price and listing date and expiration date, but I don't have to fill in most of that stuff again. It's already copied over. So this fill from existing is like a copy feature. But in this case, I'm going to start with a blank listing right here. Start with a blank listing is going to allow me to start up here, and now you can see you're pretty much just going to have these 3 tabs right here. Just kind of ignore my extra ones here. In fact, this one here is for testing, and I need to make sure I say yes to it for testing. But when you add a new listing, you're just going to have these 3 tabs right here. Up here, it's going to throw in automatically your user ID. Now, if you're an office manager, what you're going to do is take yours out, obviously, and type in your agent, the listing agent. And then once you do that, you can hit refresh, and then you'll see that we have the agent's ID in there. Okay. If you don't know it, you can always say find a salesperson right there and look them up. So I'm just going to go back and put mine in there. And same thing goes with salesperson 2, 3, or 4. If you have a co-agent, listing agent, type in their IDs there also. And make sure you hit refresh. Make sure you're seeing it down below too. What you see in yellow are required fields. So you have a listing date. You have your expiration date here. Okay. I know some of the boards, I'm not sure if all 3 of the boards have the same business rules or not, but I know like up in Sarnia that you have to have 60 days. Your expiration date has to be 60 days in the future. You can't do as short as I just did here, just 1 day here. And then here you put in your listing price or the lease price, whichever one it is. Put in the street number, street name, of course. All this options here, you're going to put in all that option there, just like you normally do. Fill it as much as you can. Legal description. Just remember, you cannot submit it unless everything is filled in. If you come down to the bottom here, at any time, you can always save it as incomplete. And when you save it as incomplete, we do give you an MLS number, and that will be its MLS number when it goes live. No one can see it yet. It's still incomplete though. But what you can also do is go in and add the photos right now while it's still incomplete. And remember, if I had copied a listing, I would have an extra option up here to import listings from another listing. And I don't see it in this one because I'm not copying it. But if I did, I would have it there. And when I click on that link, it'll say, okay, what's the MLS number you want to copy it from? And then when you type it in, it'll import all those photos from the previous listing that you just gave us. But again, it has to be your listing to give you permission to do that. In this case, I started with a blank one, so I'm just going to say browse. Go in here and try to find my listing that I want my photos, where I have them at. And then I hit open. I just held down the command button or control button or the command button on the computer or on my keyboard. We ask for photos at least 1024 by 768 pixels in size. They can be bigger than that. They can be smaller than that. We will take any photos out there, but we do encourage photos at least that size. Now mine says in red, the photos below outlined in red are lower than this recommended minimum. So we'll still take the lower ones, but we're just letting you know that they are lower than that size there. And then you can just grab photos and move them around just this easy. That's how easy it is to move those photos around. And then you can also click on the photo to make it bigger. And then down here at the bottom, you can say enter a description. And when you type in a description, we do have spell check there. So if you spelled something wrong, it'll underline it in red. And then hit done when you're done. And then up here at the top, you can rotate them up there. Okay, so you can put descriptions underneath each one there. If you did come back in later, you can always pick the listings or the photos you don't like and delete them. But I'm going to leave those in there, and I'm just going to say save. So I still have an incomplete listing, and I've got photos in there, and I can go in and add attachments to it, supplements, documents to it. I could hit continue editing. It takes me right back into it, but I'm not. Let's say I saved it as an incomplete because I just don't have time right now to finish it. Now, that time period, I'm not sure how long that time period is. It could be a few days, a week, or it could be a month. I'm not really sure how long the time period is to save it as incomplete. So you might want to call and ask your board and see if they know what that time limit is. Up here on input, though, if I want to come back and finish it, it's under input. When I come in here, select the listing, would be right there. There it is. Okay. Now, if I'm an admin, a listing admin or broker, I might have 2 or even 3 drop-down boxes. It depends on who I work for. So if I come in here, the first thing it could say is pick your office. So when I come in here, if I work for a company that has multiple offices, it would say pick your office, and I choose which office I want. Then the second box would say, okay, now which agent in that office? Well, I'd open this up and choose the agent in that office. And then the third but last option is this one here. You're only seeing this because I'm at an agent level, a salesperson level, so I only have this one option. And when I open this up, I only can see my own listings. So it just depends on your access level. So I come in there and I want to finish it. You notice it has an I there, which means it's incomplete. So I click on it and it opens it back up. Now when it opens it back up, you can see I can go back into those 3 tabs again up here. I can do a price change. And some of these options here, like status changes, it really depends on your access level too and what you can do. But I'm assuming that you added a listing, so since you can add a listing, you should be able to go back in and fix it and finish it. So I just saved it as incomplete. Now validate kind of does like what submit listing does, but submit listing will actually make it live assuming you've got all the required fields filled in. So you cannot submit it live unless you do. So always try to validate it first. And cancel input would just cancel wherever your last changes were up there. So I'm going to hit validate. Validate would go through and you see these red exclamation points. It shows you all the errors that you've done. And obviously I knew these were errors because I didn't fill them in. I also want to show you this, seller's name. If it's a company here, put it under last name, not first name. Put the company name under last name. And then over here you can see company name yes or no. Okay. So if it is a company name, obviously change that to yes and put the full company name here because that makes it easier when people searches for listings who the seller is, like a bank or someone. If you put the name under here in the last part. But if it's a regular, husband and wife combo, last name, first name, last name, first name, like normal here. Okay. There are some other fields in here. Pretty much fill this in. This one right here, indicate whether property is. Now this is where it's a sale or lease. Remember that price I put in earlier? Well, if it's for sale, obviously I put that in there. If it's for lease, I would put that one there. Okay, but it is a required field. I think that's everything on this one I want to talk about. The next one is called rooms and remarks. Now this one operates a little differently too. So here it says room level. You start with your room level and then pick your first room that you want to add, such as, let's say, master bedroom. Now, some MLSs, you're seeing this, it doesn't appear that the room sizes are required. I think every board has their own rules and regulations. So just because it doesn't show it required, if your board says it is required, then you still need to fill it in, okay, even if it's not, because when they look at these listings and you don't have it and you're for a board that does require it, then you're going to need to fill it in, okay. If you hit more, you can then come down and pick your next room level, and we'll say a 3-piece ensuite. And like I said, room sizes if it's required for you or not. Okay. And just keep on doing this. Keep on picking your room levels. Pick and keep on saying more. Public remarks. Now the remarks works differently too. You'll notice we have 3 sections for remarks: realtor remarks, client remarks, and realtor.ca remarks. Please don't hold this to me because I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing that client remarks and realtor.ca remarks should be primarily the same remarks. With realtor remarks, you'll notice that's what you'll probably have additional stuff, like showing instructions, things like that. But there is no copy button like the old system, so once you type in your long paragraph of information here, you'll just need to select it all, right click and copy it, and then come down here, right click and paste it in there, right click and paste it in there. And then maybe go back up to your realtor remarks and add in those special ones that don't belong to client remarks or realtor remarks. Okay. Directions, you can obviously type those in. Here's your inclusions, exclusions. This next one, year built. I know some places say, you know what, we don't require year built, but here you can see it's required. So you have to put something, but if it's not required, or if you don't have it and it is required, there is a way down here where you can say unknown. And then when you put unknown, it won't be required. Now it still shows required, but watch this. If I come down here and I validate, and then I come back to there, you'll notice year built is now not required. Okay, because I put unknown there. So that's a way to get around the year built, because I know some boards, I think Chatham and Sarnia, year built is not required field. So that's one way of getting around it there. That was a question I've been getting a lot of too. But obviously if your board does require it, and it is required, then I don't think you can get away with that. You're going to have to put something there. Okay. Maximum of 3, maximum of 4. You can see here it tells you the maximum that you can pick here. So it might say a maximum of 3. It will still allow me to do more than 3. But when I go down to validate or try to submit it, it'll give me an error message saying that, no, wait, only 3 you can do there. Okay. So go with that there. And over here you notice these are not required fields. So you can do that in there. There's some other fields in here. Just trying to think. Okay. Some of these might be new to you. Okay. So you always check with your broker, or the broker would check with the MLS or your board and find out the answers here. So try to fill that out. We do have an auto save option. So if you don't save it, and you walk away and you forgot to save it as incomplete, the system should auto save it for you. So when you log back in, it'll say, hey, we recovered something, you forgot to save it. Do you want to recover it or discard it there? And then last but not least is map. under map here, once you've gave us an address for it, you can hit get lat long from address right here, and we will map it for you. And there you go. But I encourage everyone to go in and set lat long manually, look at it, make sure it's right, because people are using the map ability now, and we want to make sure your listing is mapped correctly. So what you can do here is change it to a satellite view, which might give you a better look at it from the aerial view there. You can zoom in or zoom out, and if it is wrong, you can zoom out and just grab it, and that easy, just place it where it needs to go. And if you do move your map and you lose that pin, and you're down here looking for that house where it needs to go, well, just hit place new pin right here, and then click where it needs to go. And then once you put it there, you hit done, and your map is now mapped. But I'd also, after you confirmed your map location, whether you moved it or left it there, look at the Google Street View next. Under Google Street View, this will show you what it's, where it's looked at. Now, it's taking my original mapping location and going from there. But since I moved it, I might need to go here and hit reset, and it'll go by what my new location is. And now, based on my new location, I can choose the street view there. Okay, maybe it's this house over here. And I can even zoom in on it, get a little closer, and then once I'm done, just hit OK. And my Google Street View is now mapped right. Okay. Obviously, when you're done, you're going to hit submit listing, but I'm not going to submit it. You're just going to make sure everything is mapped right and all your stuff is filled out. And once you do submit it there. Okay. Now, once your listing is mapped right, you want to modify it. Well, where do you go to modify it? Let's say I want to add photos, or I want to fix the listings where it's mapped at. Well, to modify that, I go to Inputs. Under Inputs, this is where I'd go, and you could type in the MLS number here or hit Edit Existing, but this is probably your best bet right here. Pick on Quick Modify. Just open this up, choose the listing, and then it populates here. And now what I can do, if I want to do the photos or attachments, I can just come down here and add the photos or add the attachments. If I want to, I know in Windsor, a lot of your agents, a lot of the salespeople, you cannot go in and do a price change or change the statuses, but you can do some basic editing right here. You can also schedule open houses. You will not be able to delete listings or do major corrections. That's only for the MLS to do, so don't worry about those two. But open houses you can schedule, and then under basic listing edits right here, this allows you to go in and map your property from address if it's already mapped, and then of course you can set it lat long manually, which I just showed you a moment ago. But here's where you can go in and just move the pin to the correct location. And then after it's mapped properly, then you can hit and check the Google Street View and type things in here. Okay, and fix the Street View. And then hit OK when you're done. And also something else you can do in here, you can add in your virtual tour links and some other options here that you can type in. Okay, and I'll just hit cancel here. So when you go to edits, that's your photos, that's your attachments, and that's your open houses. And most of us will probably just use the basic listing edit to map it and do some other stuff. But if you have that full capability, you could price change it or change the status right here too. So if I say change to conditionally sold, I would click on that, and now I'd go in and type in my confirmation of acceptance, my salesperson part here, and so forth, and then submit it there. I'll hit cancel though. Okay. If I need to go back into the full thing, I can right there. So that is editing and modifying listings. Okay, and last but not least, team settings. Teams are with someone who has an assistant, or someone who is an assistant, or if you and another realtor work as partners, maybe a husband and wife team, or maybe maybe one of you is going to be on vacation for a few weeks and you want another realtor fill in for you. Well, you could set them up as a team, so that way you don't have to you don't have to give them your user ID and password, because we should not give out our user ID and passwords to people. So to create a team, we would simply go to My Matrix and then Settings. And then under Settings, I would use Team Settings. Now, here I have not set up a team yet, so I could say click here to create a team. And I would type in my member's ID. So let's say that Dave Burke is a assistant of mine. Well, if he has his ID here, I can just type in his ID and hit find. It would then go and search for Dave Burke, and now I've got two options. I can have Dave impersonate me. If he was my assistant, I'd probably want him to impersonate me, which basically means anything he does, he prints or emails, it's as if I'm doing it myself. But if we're both equals, if we're both realtors, and he's just filling in for me while I'm out of town, I could say work on my behalf. So that way when he emails something to my client, it's coming from him, but on behalf of Keith Hensley. So that's the difference. But either way I go, when I save this and I hit add here, Dave will be able to log in and see everything that I can see. Okay? He could delete anything that I can delete. He can do anything basically as what I can do. So if I can do it, Dave can do it. So let me show you this now. Now that I've set this up for Dave Burke, I'm going to log in as Dave and show you what he gets. Okay, so when Dave logs into Matrix with his own user ID and password, up here at the top, he just logged in as himself. And he's working as himself. But at any time, he can go up to where it says working as Dave Burke and switch over and work as Keith Hensley. And now he can see all my contacts, all my searches, all my auto emails. He can do anything I can do. If I have listing input, he has listing input. So that's how that works. And Dave does not know my password. And Dave could do the same for me. He could give me a part of his team to work on his behalf or impersonate him. And I would see everything he does. And we can help each other out. Now, once we're done, obviously, Dave would just say log out as Dave right there, or log out as Keith Hensley. Now he's just back in as himself here. Okay. Now, if I want to break that relationship, I can just go to Input, or I'm sorry, I go to My Matrix Settings, go back to Team Settings, and now I just check mark the team that I have already gave him, because maybe it's just temporary. And after I check mark it, I could delete it here. And now it's gone. Okay. And there you go. Alrighty. Well, I hope this video helped. At any time, you can always replay it and watch it again. Bookmark certain spots, and if you have any questions, though, definitely reach out to us, whatever board you have, and if they can't help you, I'm sure they'll get you in contact with someone with CoreLogic. But it's been my pleasure, and I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you.